everyone. Welcome back to Poppin In with Alexa and Molly. I'm Molly.
And I'm Alexa.
And we have consumed so much media in the past few days. We are ready to talk.
I've actually been doing nothing with my life. Shocker. I think I say this multiple episodes. Besides watching things.
Well, I had a little thing at my house Saturday night, and then it was, I wouldn't say we were like hungover or anything, but I feel like the next day was just like a good like rot day.
Well, also it was raining.
And it was raining.
And this week it's gonna snow like 6 to 12 inches. So
yeah, yes. And so Sunday I just felt like the thing is, so much came out Sunday. Like we had so much to talk about.
It was actually really stressing me out because
me too.
And we'll talk about this later, but White Lotus comes out at 9 p.m., which I know is like an HBO thing, but 9 p.m. on a Sunday, why not 8?
So I was excited because I had off today,
right? But
Monday.
You're not gonna have Monday off next week.
I know,
and it's gonna come out at 9 p.m.
Well, it won't matter to me as much to watch it Sunday night as like it would Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as it did this past weekend, because this past weekend was like the first episode of the new season, so it was like exciting.
Yeah.
And when I like found out I wasn't working Monday, I was like, yes.
I don't know.
We head off for holiday.
I feel like with these shows, I want to watch them like when they come out because people put so many spoilers online.
That is true. Yeah. Because then I guess like how am I gonna watch it Monday? Except for Monday night. Whatever. I watched at work.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
But then the other stressful thing was like, so it started at 9, but then the SNL special started at 8.
Yeah.
And that thing went on for like 3 hours. So I obviously couldn't finish that because it was White Lotus time.
And as you know, I did not finish it because I was watching it today. And I got bad. I was like, one of my coworkers which said she was going to listen to the podcast. So if she did, you'll recall this conversation. She was asking me, she was like, are you a Nirvana fan? And she was talking about like post Nirvana. And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. Sunday evening, I was like not alive. I was watching the White Lotus and Yellow Jackets propped up like a corpse. I don't know what was up with me.
She's probably talking about the concert because they performed at the concert, which was like, I think Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
It was weird. So the SNL special was on a Sunday, which like it's Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Did they still do regular Saturday Night Live?
No.
Why did I say it with that cadence?
I don't know, but I think they did the concert Saturday.
Huh.
It was really good. But so it's funny because like it was post Nirvana, so it was literally, which I thought meant post Nirvana.
Yeah, I did too. When she said it, I was like,
it was literally post Malone and Nirvana.
She was saying it, I was like, yeah, like after Nirvana? Like, what do you, I was like,
I didn't know that
what
was
do
a
you
thing.
mean?
Did you know that he performed with them? I didn't know that was like a
No,
thing.
I didn't know that either.
And so it was actually good, but I was telling Matthew, I was like, I'm actually, and please don't kill me for this, but I'm not a fan, but I'm just not super familiar with Nirvana. Like I've never really...
I love Nirvana. I'm not like a nerve head, but I don't know, a Nirvanite.
I think they're like super talented. Like I understand why people love them, but I've just never
veer away from that.
I've just never been like a huge like.
I love like 90s grunge. Like
See, I don't. Like, I'm not a grunge person. I'm just not.
Because you're very like Pink. Like we are like the epitome of like. I don't know. Well, we'll get into it because it'll come into play when we talk about Bridget Jones, which we'll be talking about later as well. But anyways, yeah. So you watched the SNL special. I watched the first hour. Right before you came over.
Well, like I said, I watched it a little bit of it. Like I watched the first part live, but then at like 9, I went to watch White Lotus. So I finished it today. The special itself was it was 3 hours. It was very good.
Yeah.
But I feel stupid. I do have to like apologize for like past episodes because when we talked about the documentary, I was an idiot and I was like, why don't they do it? Like it's 50 years. I'm surprised they're only doing a documentary because like the 40th, I remember when the 40th anniversary special was out and it was like huge. It was like everybody came back. They did all the sketches. Like it was really big. And I was like, why don't they do something like that? And like, lo and behold, they had a whole weekend planned for it. I just didn't know about it.
Can I say though, so this might be something stupid. Is this like what they do every anniversary where all the sketches, I was like, oh, these are, from what I could see, I, again, only watched an hour. I was like, these are sketches they've already done. They're just kind of like doing them again. Yeah,
they don't like write like new sketches. It's like it's supposed to be for like nostalgia. Like it's these are classic sketches. So they did like, and I would say for the most part it's a balance, but I actually noticed it was a lot of the more modern ones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, like they didn't do like a lot of the older one. They did like Debbie Downer, which was an older one. They kind of alluded to some older ones. Like they would have like, what's the one that Mike Myers plays where it's like is it Coffee Time or something? Coffee Time? I don't know. like, that came back, like, sometimes they'll mix the sketches, which is funny, but, I did feel like it was more heavy on, like, the more modern ones, like, they did Domingo.
Yeah, which, I know people love that sketch. Can I be honest? It's not my favorite. It didn't make me, like, I was like, this is sort of funny, but it didn't really make me laugh.
No, it doesn't really make me laugh either. I just think the song, I think it's funny when, like, I think the song is catchy, like, that he's singing that.
Oh, I've been singing it in my head this entire time, like since you've been at my house.
Came all this way, had to explain, direct from Domingo. But then, like, so then Pedro Pascal, because, like, there's a whole thing now where, like, I think it's Marcelo Hernandez, is that his name? And Pedro Pascal.
Hot. Sorry.
Oh, so hot. And Bad Bunny, like, all three of them will, like, be in sketches together. And so they all came out and, like, did a thing. Pedro Pascal could not get on the beat for the life of him.
Oh, yeah.
But it was cute. It was, like, it was very funny. Or it was just, like, cute. I would say, like, for the most part, they're not, like, super funny. It's more just about, like, wow, look at this next celebrity that came out, you know?
It's like, literally, so when you got here, they were doing the thing where it was, like, question, answer, and they would just kind of, like, pan to the crowd, and it's all the celebrities.
Yeah.
And it's, like...
Which they did for the 40th anniversary.
And it's just crazy being like, wow, look at all these people.
Yeah.
Just in this crowd.
Well, I think in the crowd, it's not, like, they don't have, like, people just coming in. I think it's, like, all
No, it is,
famous people.
It's all famous people. But I didn't realize it until they panned to the crowd, and I was just,
and you
like...
just see, like...
Like, you're focused on the one person talking, and then you just kind of look in the background,
like
and you're
Larry
like...
David is there. Chris Rock is there.
Just like, there's Barack Obama. No,
there's literally Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I thought the questions was funny. I told Alexa before the episode, but, like, even the Ryan Reynolds part, because there was, like, for those who didn't see it, like, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively came to the SNL thing, which, I'm surprised they showed their face out in public right now. They're in some
Can I say, though,
stuff.
so, like, so the funny part, so, like, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, they're, like, asking questions to the audience, and they say, hi, Ryan Reynolds, like, how's everything going with you? And he was like, fine, why? Is something up, or whatever? Yeah. What does he say? Like, something like that.
He's just like, I'm fine. Why?
Yeah, he's like,
which was funny. I thought it was funny.
Blake Lively's expression during it. I was watching her. I was like, I don't know if she knew he was gonna make that joke. Like, she seemed confused.
Why wouldn't she? I noticed her face too, because she was smiling when he first stood up, and then when he said that, she kind of went like, "You can't see me," but she was like she immediately, like, her face. Yeah. But I'm like, there's no way that they didn't discuss she didn't that. Know. Yeah.
But because then, but she was confused for, like, a solid few seconds, and then she started smiling again.
Maybe she was acting. It's possible. Sometimes I always think this is cringe, that instead of, like, just laughing at something, sometimes people in the audience will try to, like, be in on the, like, I noticed there was, like, at one point, they do this big, like, musical sketch that they always do when John Mulaney hosts, and it was funny the first time. It's kind of not funny anymore, but it's like Pete Davidson is always part of it, and so they did this huge musical sketch, which this time it was cool because, again, there was so many famous people, and one of the things was, like, they panned out into the audience, and it was like Will Forte and Jason Sudeikis were singing a song from Les Mis, and they're like, the song is called, like, the confrontation song, so they're, like, arguing, and Kevin Costner and Jenna Ortega were sitting in between them, so they were kind of, like, in between them as they're, like, arguing, and they were, like, acting, and I just was kind of like, and so, but then people who are watching it who are, like, stupid are like, I can't tell if they're part of the bit or not, or if they're just confused, and I'm like, no, they're part of the bit, but it's just, like, it's not funny because you're not part of it, so you're just like, why are you acting? You know what I mean?
I did, like, and again, this is still question and answers, like, I would say of what I watched, this is my favorite part of, like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Dreyfus,
the dog.
Yeah. But as she was, like, saying something, like, Jerry Seinfeld, like, leaned over
I saw that.
far.
I noticed, and I was like, does he just want to be in the frame? Yeah. I thought, also, can I just say, if you were to ask me, like, who is the one, like, SNL guest that I think genuinely could be a cast member, I would say Adam Driver, because he is always so funny.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He's so, like, he's in another sketch, like, later, too, but, like, he's just always commits to the bit, and he's just so funny to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
For someone who's not, like, well, maybe he is a comedic actor. I guess he kind of started in comedy. Yeah. He's in Girls, but I just have always thought he was really funny.
He is. I also like Steve Martin's monologue.
Yeah,
I thought
he's so funny.
He's cute.
He always, like, as soon as he came out, I was like, okay, good, this will actually be funny.
Yeah.
And then, like, John Mulaney and Martin Short.
Yeah, he was like, they gave me the monologue, notoriously the worst bit.
It is.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, look at him.
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, from what I watched, I mean, I liked it. Like, I think, like, the new stuff they did was funny. Like, again, just, like, the little bits. Like, it wasn't, like, sketches, but, like, the little things in between.
It was a cute homage. There's one, I don't think you've gotten to it yet from what I saw that you were watching, but, like, Adam Sandler came out, and I don't think Adam Sandler's, he's just not my cup of tea as far as like comedy. But he did come out and like sing a song, and it was actually very emotional. He did like an ode to SNL, and he was talking about like the people who've died and stuff, and it was just like really like emotional.
That is really,
and it was just kind of beautiful because like the thing about SNL is it's, you know, I felt like that movie that, you know, Saturday Night was like such a love letter to SNL because like it's just it's so amazing like what it's achieved in 50 years. It's just like brought joy to so many people, and it's introduced so many people.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too as I was watching it. Like I was like, it has to be kind of crazy to be Lorne Michaels, to just be like sitting there and like
basically, and he always has the most like, he just is like this the whole time.
Yeah, he's just he kind of reminds me of a little potato.
Yeah. A little old man
but
potato.
It just has to be crazy to be like they were talking about, it was like 200, it was some crazy like hundreds of celebrities that have hosted.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, because this guy when he was 26 or whatever was like, I'm going to do a sketch comedy show in 1975.
Yeah. And it's so funny because what he's like, all of this has come out of this one man who to me isn't very funny. Like I've never seen him be funny.
I don't think you can be like that funny. Like you cannot be like a egotistical kind of comedian type of person to run all of this and do what he's doing and have kind of the vision. I think it's like you have to know what's funny, but you don't have to necessarily, even though I think he wanted to be a comedian originally, like he was like a part of those types of things.
I remember them showing in the Saturday Night movie when it was supposed to be him doing the Weekend Update, and then he just like the jokes like weren't landing with him, but then like so they had like Chevy Chase do it. But I think, I mean, I've seen him do like bits and stuff on SNL, like when he'll just kind of make like little appearances, and he has like comedic timing for sure. But I've always just felt like he just doesn't seem to have a lot of personality, so it's weird to me that like all of this came from him, you know? It's weird.
That's what I feel like that's what it is. That, like, you know, they say, like, it's always the quiet ones or whatever.
Yeah, true.
And honestly, I would say his talent is much more difficult because it is more curated. Like, he's not just being funny. He has to know, like, not only what is funny and what is culturally relevant, but also to decipher what is funny to me and what is funny to people.
Yeah, that's true.
Because what's funny to me might not be funny to you.
Who do you think would be the best person to take over from him if he leaves? Like, if he ever does retire?
I feel like Seth Meyers maybe would be a good replacement. Or I think Tina Fey would be really good. I don't know if she would want to do that, though.
I think at one point he did say Tina Fey would be the person. Like, he actually said that because he thinks that she has the same idea. Like, she knows what direction he wants to take it in. Mm-hmm. And so I think they're kind of... Because I always forget until I see her, like, how funny she is. Like, I really do love Tina Fey. I think, because Matthew and I were watching it together, and he was like, who's your favorite, like, female, like, SNL cast member? And I was like, I think it's I would say either Kristen Wiig or, like, Amy Poehler or Tina Fey. Like, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, to me, are just, like, comedic geniuses. Like, I just love them.
They are.
But I would also agree that Seth Meyers would be a good one.
Yeah, or, I don't know who I'm thinking about. Who's the other guy who, like, hosts a talk show and he came out of... Maybe I'm thinking of Seth Meyers.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon.
God, no.
Well, but that's the only one I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, but he would be so bad.
Maybe
that little
Colin Jost
penguin-looking bitch. No.
I feel like Colin
Jost, maybe.
Colin Jost is almost closest to Lorne Michaels in terms of, like, personality-wise. I can almost kind of see it.
I feel like Colin Jost just needs, like, he's too young right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like,
I don't think he could do it right now.
Also, I think him and Scarlett Johansson, like, just seeing them on the red carpet, you can tell he feels, like, very blessed to be like, I'm married to Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And she also, like, you can tell she just seems very, like, happy.
She does, because I would feel blessed to be married to Colin Jost. Like, he's very charming. He's very funny.
Yeah.
We always watch him every night after we do this podcast. We watch him on Pop Culture Jeopardy, and he's just so cute. I love him, and he seems really nice.
He does.
I thought at one point Scarlett Johansson was singing during a sketch. Yeah. And I was like, I forgot she is a singer.
Okay, when Sabrina Carpenter was doing the Domingo sketch and she was singing really badly, was that on purpose?
Yeah, because like the whole joke is that they're like bridesmaids doing like a bit like at the wedding. You know, sometimes bridesmaids will do a show and like they can't sing or whatever. And so it's supposed to be like they're not talented. Okay. Because Ariana Grande did it, Charlie XCX did it, like they were all like...
Okay. I did like Sabrina Carpenter's joke when it was, who did she open with? It wasn't Keith Richards.
Oh, Paul Simon.
When
she was like, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, neither were my parents.
Yeah. Which
I was like, is that true?
I think it's true. A joke. Yeah. I think
anyways,
she was joking.
Yeah. Can you imagine? She was like, they were born in 2005.
Yeah. Because I think she's only like, 2 years younger than me. 2 or 3 years. I don't know how old she is.
I think she's like 25, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was thinking about it, too, because she was really so much a part of this whole special. And I was like, it's so crazy how quickly she... And I don't think she's an overnight sensation. I'm not calling her that, because I know she's worked really hard to get to where she is. Because she's been doing this for a while. She just kind of recently became, like, famous. But it's quick. It's crazy how quickly she became big. Yeah. Like, she's almost considered, like... I mean, the fact that she opened the special with... She was replacing George Harrison in a song with Paul Simon.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And it's, like, weird because I feel like it's only been, like, a year since she became, like, really famous, you know?
And also, like, it's such a big deal to host SNL, and, like, you look at all the famous people in the crowd, like, it makes me, again, I was telling you we were watching that documentary on We Are the World, and just how difficult it is to get, like, that was...
That many people together?
That many famous people with their schedules and their touring, and, like, that was, like, 2 or 3 times the size of the We Are the World
I know, singers. I was thinking that, too.
And I was like, wow, so you know, like... Well, granted, they probably also knew, like, they had put in their schedule, like, way in advance. But, you know, like, people are making time to be like, yeah, I'm going to be at the SNL 50th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But you just think about, like, I mean, maybe it's similar to, like, the Oscars. Like, you know you need to be available. But I do think it's crazy how many people were there. I'm like, y'all were all just available?
I also love that they gave Nate Bargatze a speaking role. I know you haven't watched his stand-up. He is my favorite stand-up comedian.
I'm sorry. I do not think he's funny. Even, I told Matthew today, like, his little... Sorry, I had fully interrupted you.
I don't know what I was saying. So
sorry. I was just saying, even when he stood up and said his thing, I just was like... I don't think he's funny. I'm sorry.
Have you watched any of his stand-up?
No, but I've seen him host SNL, and I just don't... He does.
You don't love his Colonial America?
No, like, I don't think that's funny.
I watch it all the time. I
don't
think it's
get
so
it.
funny.
I don't... Or, like, I get it, but, like, I don't think... Like, I don't get why it's so hyped. I just don't think it's funny. I don't think he's funny. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I did... Like, I thought about you today, actually. Or, no, I didn't think about you, because I forgot that you're the one who likes him. But I did think about today how much I don't think he's funny.
I love him. I've seen him live. I want to go see him in June. Like, the Tennessee Kid stand-up, he's, like, good, clean comedy, but it's, like, I think he's very funny. But it's fine. I'll allow it. Also, I was going to ask you, like, thinking about, like, all of these celebrities, all these, like, cultural touchstones and all these moments, like, when do you think SNL will end? Like, what do you think will be its downfall? Will it go down with, like, Democracy, you think?
Oh, well, I don't know, because... Like, maybe once Lauren leaves, I do wonder if that, no matter who takes over from him, I wonder if that's when it would kind of go downhill.
Maybe.
Because I already currently don't think, like, this current cast is very funny.
Yeah, get that TikToker out there. I was watching her sketches
the other
day.
She's
I was
awful.
Like, so
Jane.
bad. Yeah.
We've talked about her before, but I'm just like, you're so wooden. Yeah. And it's not, because people are like, that's her humor. Her humor is being not good in front of the camera, because that's what it is. Like, she's so wooden.
Yeah.
It seems like she's just, like, nervous, not really...
And maybe part of it is also, like, I think I really liked, like, in the beginning where it was, like, we're just finding comedians on the streets, like, whatever. And now it's, like, yeah, you know someone who knows someone, and that's how you get, like, an audition for SNL. I mean,
all of those... And I think they're funny, but the not Please Don't Destroy, what are they called?
No, is that what they're called? Yeah, they're called Please Don't Destroy. The little group of 3.
Yeah, the 2 of them are Nepo babies.
Yeah.
One of them, the dad literally is, like... still a producer on SNL.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I feel like it was better, and I'm not saying like the original cast was better because I obviously did not watch it in the 70s, but I think like I like the idea more so of like, okay, we are just organically finding comedians.
Well, I think a big one is like the fact that, a lot of them have social media platforms, which is fine. I mean, that's where it is now. I don't happen to usually find them fun because I don't think that always translates.
No.
Because sketch comedy should be kind of like like a theater troupe should be like a feeder into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where most of them came from like Second City. I mean, we've talked about this before, but like I think most of the time how it used to be was like they would have talent agents finding them and like, from I can't get my words out right now. Improv troupes, and then like that's how they were found, which I think that fits SNL better. I don't think like social media comedians are really the same thing.
No. And I don't know. Maybe like Lauren stepping down will give it like, maybe it'll actually thrive and it'll go on for another 50 years or something, because it'll give like a new perspective or like a little bit of a new refresh. Because every now and then they come out with sketches where you're like, yeah, that's funny, that's great. But it's like, I don't know, are you doing all of this for every now and then?
So here's where I know this is actually, the special really showed me the difference, because there used to be characters on SNL and there's not anymore.
Yeah.
Like Domingo is the only one I can really think of.
Yeah.
And that, like, that's the only current character. But like, you look at it now, like, there's no one who's really just like super iconic on SNL. Bowen Yang is probably the most famous one right now, but it's not like he does like specific characters or specific sketches that are really funny. Yang. I do think he's funny, but I just don't think anybody on this show currently is really at that level.
No. And I don't know, like, I don't know, because the thing is also the way people watch is different. Like, I quote unquote watch SNL in that
I watch clips.
Yeah. Like, it comes, I follow the SNL account and I watch the clips that they post or the clips that people share.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting down on my Saturday night or like recording it or whatever to be like SNL.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Kamala Harris is on or something.
Right. Exactly. And I think like there's certain, like if they're doing political sketches, I think those still do well. But like, I don't know. I did notice that with the special was there used to be so many funny like characters and they brought them all back. And I'm like, that's like, they're not going to be able to do that with this current cast. You know what I mean? Like so far, maybe it'll change.
Yeah.
But again, like Domingo's the only, and we were even just saying like, it's not that funny.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like, it's fine. So I don't know, maybe they need like a little bit of a refresh, but it's also like such a touchstone of like culture. You know, like, I think it's very true where they're like, someone could have been born the day SNL came out and have died of natural causes by now. You know what I mean?
Funny, yeah.
Like, and that's very true. And I also think, like, it's, regardless of how good it is or not, it's going to go on for a long time after this because of just how much pull it has with people.
Yeah.
You know, like, all those people in the crowd are not going to let SNL go down.
No, yeah, I don't think it will for a while.
Yeah, which is fine. I was just curious, like, what do you think would take it down? I think it'll just be the way people watch things.
Yeah, that's probably true.
If it doesn't like change to adapt to that. And I don't mean adding stupid TikTokers.
No, we've got to, because again, like I'm saying, like it's just not the right format for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be good at like improv and,
yeah,
you know. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was really for a 50th special. And you got to watch the concert because the concert was crazy.
Okay, yeah.
It was like so many people.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was so good.
SNL is one of those things where it's like, no matter if it's like anything, you're going to be honored to be on it. But then especially like if they're like, do you want to be on the 50th anniversary concert? Yeah. Literally Paul McCartney would be like, yeah, I'll fly from fucking Timbuktu and I'll be there.
And Paul McCartney closed out the special and I was like, it's so wild to me. I think I've said this before on here. We're at the point now where we're repeating ourselves. But like, I think it's so wild to me how Paul McCartney still like lives on the planet with us and he's still actively performing.
It is
like,
crazy that man has a heartbeat. Yeah.
No, I don't mean it like that. It's like, but kind of like it just, he's almost too legendary that it's like, wait, he's still alive and in our breathing the same air as us?
I think about that all the time with things like that where it's like Paul McCartney, like just like the Beatles being like literally they made a movie where it was like, what if the Beatles didn't exist? Wouldn't this be crazy?
Yeah,
you know what I
like,
mean?
Well, two of them are still alive, so.
Yeah, but like, you know, like how the impact, I think SNL is the same way. Like if we didn't have SNL, like that would kind of be crazy. Like just the way it's like impacted at, like so much in terms of arts, culture, society, like.
Yeah. And I thought about it and I'm like, actually being an SNL cast member would probably be the number one job I would want because when you think about it, you have met, just through SNL alone, you've met so many famous people.
Yeah, and they talk about that, like, back when they would just kind of pull people off the streets. They'd be like, okay, well, I was just a comedian performing at this one thing, and now I'm standing here with Paul McCartney giving him direction.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, which I can't imagine.
One thing I did appreciate, and this will kind of be one of the last things I say, but, like, one of the things I did appreciate was one of the sketches was about, like, anxiety on SNL and how all of them had anxiety and, like, would have to, like, use the bathroom beforehand. And I just thought that, like, they all had, like, IBS issues and stuff. They, like, did a whole song. Like, it was Andy Samberg and Bowen Yang.
That
did,
makes
like,
sense.
a whole song. And it was just funny because I was like, yeah, I've thought about that before. Like, you know how, like, before you go out, like, if you're about to, like, go out on stage or do something, you're, like, you suddenly have to, like, pee or whatever. Like, Imagine that. Like, every Saturday night, just everybody using the bathroom.
Which is why, I think I told you the conversation I had with Chris the other day where he said something where he was like, oh, I don't think I could be a comedian. Like, I wasn't enough of, like, a weird kid, or, like, I didn't have enough trauma. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you were too cool to be a comedian? He was like, I mean, yeah. And you saying that, I'm like, yeah, Chris has no anxiety. He would be a bad comedian. I'm like, you gotta have some sort of anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, the two of us, if we were going out on SNL, would be like, get out of the way, I'm going to the bathroom. But if it was Chris, he'd just be like, I'm sure I'll kill it. I'm sure it'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely. But you would never know they have anxiety, except for, like, the TikTok girl.
I think I would know. I think you can tell. It's the level of energy. I can tell they have, like...
Really?
Maybe it's, like, a thing. Like, as an anxious person, I can sniff out some anxious
Really? Because
people.
I've heard Bill Hader say he has, like, crippling anxiety, and, like, that when before SNL, he would have, like, straight-up panic attacks before he went out. And you look at him and... I would never know that from his sketches. He's just, because his humor, like, his comedy is just, like, out of this world to me.
I feel like I can tell because it's, like, they all have the feeling of, like, the duck above water where underneath they're paddling their feet, you know? Like, if you look at their eyes, you can tell.
Yeah.
You don't look at any other parts of their face, but in their eyes, you can see those feet scurrying underwater.
Also, Lil Wayne performed, and I felt like he had a lot of sound issues or something, like a lot of technical issues.
Interesting.
And I'm curious.
He's another person that's crazy. He's still alive and performing with us.
Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Matthew and I were both like, I feel like it's messed up, like something with his performance.
The last time I saw Lil Wayne was, I'm pretty sure 2020 when he was performing on The Masked Singer.
Really?
Which I don't watch very often, but I was the only person I immediately was like, that's Lil Wayne. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Well, how do you not know it's them? Do they, like, mask their voices, too?
They do a little bit. Like, I think it's, like, a little bit of, like, a sound synth thing, but, like, not...
I'm like, yeah, you would know that that's Lil Wayne.
But it's not, like, crazy. But you can tell because of, like, certain inflections, and also, like, you're just like, that's Lil Wayne. Like, it was, I think, one of the easiest ones people had ever figured out, but I figured it out first in the group we were in. Sorry, I just spit everywhere.
Yeah. Well... It was good, though.
Contain that yawn. We shouldn't have yapped for 2 hours before this.
We always have that issue.
I know.
You need to, like, as soon as I walk in, I need to just walk straight up the stairs. Like, you guys will be in the...
you a wine.
No, you guys will be in the living room, and you'll be like, hey, Molly, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, just straight upstairs. I'm like, oh, I haven't even set up the recording equipment.
Meet me up there.
I'm just, like, on a Teams call at 4 p.m., and you're like, I'm already here and I'm ready. You just pop into the background.
Hang up.
Yeah. This is more important. But anyways, yeah, so SNL.
Yeah, it was good. That's all I had to say about it.
Yeah.
Also, should we say something about the timestamps?
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
Reminder to say at the top about timestamps.
Gosh, guys, every episode. Gosh darn it. If you didn't know. Well, I feel like people have asked me this before. They've been like, oh, I don't listen to this. Is there going to be spoilers or whatever? And I'm like, you could, if you look into, click on the episode.
Open your eyes. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you just use those little thumbs, click on the episode description, and you'll see that we put the timestamps for each topic. So if you don't care about a topic, or if you're like, I don't want to get any spoilers, just hit that little fast forward button a couple times and go to the next topic.
We might be like a second off, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Usually it's about 7 seconds off.
Okay.
Approximately, but it's not like that bad.
It's not. You won't hear anything crazy.
It's about that. But anyways, so another touchstone of society, Bridget Jones.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were going to that next. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually a real shock to me that you watched this.
I got like way too... My excitement didn't match like how I actually felt. No, not in a rude way. Sorry, that sounded mean.
So I actually, when you said you were watching...
I just meant like, why am I getting excited? I'm not like a Bridget Jones fan.
So I need to give some context to Bridget Jones. Okay, yeah, my glasses are really sliding. I need to give some context to Bridget Jones. If you guys don't know, I am like a hardcore Bridget Jones Diary fan. As in middle school, I got a DVD player and I used to put... Okay, Molly's sitting here mouthing me as I tell it, but whatever. And I used to pop that little DVD in with the Bridget Jones. Her head has a little hole on it, on her forehead. And I would watch it when I would get ready for school. And here's the thing.
I used to fall asleep to Django Unchained at night, so...
That's interesting.
I understand having like a...
Yeah.
I don't want to say comfort movie. That was not a comfort movie for me.
But here's the thing. When I was falling asleep the other night, I was thinking about what I wanted to say to you about Bridget Jones on this podcast. Okay. And the reason I loved it is because I think Bridget Jones was the first time ever since like Junie B. Jones, another Mrs. Jones that I, the books, where I felt seen in culture.
Aww.
Because I feel like as a girl growing up, it's like either here's the two tropes you get. And this is what I was saying earlier, like someone like you, like very pink, like very type A, very like made up, very girly, like they're doing this thing. Or you get the tomboy and it's like, we're playing soccer. I'm getting like rugged and dirty and I'm doing this. And I remember just being like, okay, well, I'm not either of those. I am a little bit of a mess, but I'm a girl who tries. And that is Bridget Jones. And that is why when I was 11 or 12 years old, I saw her with her, bad hair and her endearing personality. And I was like, that's it. But I think like, and that's why I think,
Were you like offended by my text then when I was like texting you during the movie?
No, she does need to brush her hair. That is a thing. Okay, but we'll get into that.
I have a thing, yeah.
So, but also like, Gen Zs have been doing this thing where they rewatch movies and they're like, this is actually really offensive. And I'm like, okay, Bridget Jones's Diary came out in, I think, 2000.
Wait, what was offensive about it?
Because in the original one, there's a whole thing about, like, they're saying, like, she's not representative of women because she's boy crazy. It's all about focusing on boys. I'm like, the whole point is that she's a singleton.
Okay, God forbid rom-coms exist. Yeah. Like, that's a whole genre.
And, like, it's the early 2000s, and a huge thing is, and I will say this is, like, not great, but, like, that she's trying to lose weight. And, like, people make comments about her weight all the time. And as she's writing in her diary, she'll be like, oh, I'm 125 pounds, need to lose weight. Which is, like, crazy because like that. But in the early 2000s.
Everybody was, like,
and I'm like, okay, you have to understand, it was, the year 2000 was not a good time for that. So, of course, she's going to be like, oh, I need to lose weight or whatever. But I'm like, Bridget Jones is such an endearing character because, again, I think she is a representative of, like, the middle woman where it's like, okay, yeah, like, I'm tripping and I'm falling, but I'm lovable. And, like, there's this line from the first movie where Mark Darcy says to her, he's like, you are perfect just as you are.
That's so nice.
It is. And that's why, like, I didn't get upset, but I was just kind of like, when you were like, I asked you, you said you were watching, so Bridget Jones, this is the fourth movie. It's Bridget Jones Mad About the Boy, and you were like, I'm going to watch it. And I was like, oh my God, great. Have you watched the others? And you said no, and I was like, oh.
You told me to watch, you knew I hadn't watched them, and you told me to watch that movie. The other day, you were like, what if we did a thing where we watched it, and I politely said no?
Yeah, but if you had said yes, I was, like, prepared to be like, well, we should watch all four.
Oh.
But you said no, so then I didn't
Okay, you asked on Friday. How was I going to watch four movies?
That's fine. I wasn't thinking it through. I'm not mad at you, but I'm just saying, this is why I'm like, okay. I
didn't know that you wanted me to watch the first. I thought you were asking me. That's why at first I was kind of like, no.
Because I didn't like this movie, and I love Bridget Jones. It made me mad because what it was, basically, so all of the endearing, like, beautiful parts of Bridget Jones are in the first two movies.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, the original writers, like, the kind of original plot lines. Where this one, so then they came out with the third one a few years ago.
Where she goes to, like, a Thai prison or something?
No, that's the second one. Okay. That one's actually, it's very funny. It's like why I'm always afraid I suddenly have drugs on me at TSA.
I remember you telling me that at the airport one day, and I couldn't get over it. I was like, why is she at a prison in Bridget Jones 2?
It's very funny. But... And so then the third one was, like, about, like, she gets pregnant, she doesn't really know who the dad is, and whatever. And, like, the third one was okay, but again, it's not. And here's one of the reasons why you can tell it's not the original writers, is so you know those four friends in Mad About the Boy, where it's, like, Shaz, the gay guy with the long hair, and they're just like, we've been friends for decades. In the first two movies, I would say those characters are not fleshed out, but, like, have points. In the last two movies, they've just brought in a bunch of random characters, like the girl who works at the talk show, who, like,
that's not her friend from, like, an earlier movie?
From the last movie, but not from the first two movies.
Gotcha.
No.
And go ahead.
Also, like, this movie made me mad because it was basically just a bunch of callbacks to the first movie to the point where, like, you have to be, like, an obsessive fan to pick up on the cadence of this joke. But there's a joke in the first movie where Bridget Jones is talking about her boss. His name is Mr. Fitzherbert, but she calls him Mr. Titsherbert because he's always staring at her boobs. Yeah. And she has to introduce him at, like, a crowd of people. So she's saying to the microphone, like, I'm here to introduce the man we all call. And then in her head, she's like, Titsherbert, is, like, whispering it. And she goes, Mr. Fitzherbert, because that is his name, which is very funny. And she says this joke in it where she's talking to the principal in this recent movie where she's like, yeah, well, we're all going to the bar where we're going to have some drinks and you should come because that's where we'll be. It's like the exact same cadence.
Yeah.
And there's like so many callbacks to just like jokes from the first two movies that I'm just like, okay, we just didn't need to do this then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not watching a movie to just be like, wasn't the first one, didn't we have so many great jokes in the first one?
So, okay, two things. One, I think this was clearly just like a reboot for a reboot.
Yeah.
So that I think that is what they were trying to do. Like, that was very clear to me, that it was for like the fans, which I don't know if that even worked because you are a fan. You are the fan and you didn't like it. But I was going to say really quick, give me like a rundown, like a quick rundown. Like, what is Bridget Jones's Diary?
So Bridget Jones's Diary started out as like a column from the author Helen Fielding, where it was basically like she was writing about being a singleton in your early 30s in London, and people loved it. Like this fictional character, Bridget, where she's a little bit of a mess, but she's trying to figure things out. In the first movie, it's also based on the plot of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, because I was like, their last name is Darcy. Was that on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mark Darcy is supposed to be Mr. Darcy. And Hugh Grant's character is supposed to be Mr. Wickham, who's like that guy who is, you know, whatever.
I was confused about his character, too, in the new movie.
Yeah, it's weird because in the last movie, Hugh Grant wasn't in it. So they would say, I can't even remember how they did this, but they were like, yeah, he basically died. And that's why they have this shot of a news clipping where it's like Playboy Publishing guy miraculously found alive.
What?
And that's all you get, like, in terms of, like, why is he back?
Colin Firth dead?
Yeah, Colin Firth is dead.
Oh.
In this one, but he wasn't in the last one.
So he just randomly died in between now and the last one?
Yeah, so Colin Firth's character, Mark Darcy, is an international rights lawyer, which is why it comes to play in the second movie when she gets into a Thai prison.
Okay.
But, so the way he died, I think they said he was in, like, South Sudan or something on a missions, like, he was there to, like, help people, like, he volunteered and he died in, like, an attack or something. And so that's why, like, it was probably kind of confusing, but they also, like, put that randomly in there, like, for no reason.
And right off the bat, it was confusing because all these people that weren't actually there were there. Like, wasn't she imagining a lot of people? I didn't know. Like, I didn't get that.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird. Like, some of the people she was imagining were dead, but some of them were her friends, like, that were still alive. And it was just kind of supposed to be, like, the voices in her head, which is, I was just like,
got that.
This is weird. But, also,
so she always writes in her diary, so that's just like, okay.
Which they don't even have that much in this one. No. She, like, writes, like, Bridget Jones, it's time to fucking live again, or something like that.
Yeah.
And even when she's doing the passwords in the Netflix and she's getting it wrong, it's jokes from the first movie, Molly, that she's like, that are the passwords. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Oh, I didn't think they were jokes from the first one. I just thought they weren't funny jokes.
No, they are funny jokes from the first one in the context of when they, like, happen.
To be fair, though, I don't feel like that's on me for not seeing the first one. So, like, I guess if I had seen it, then I would think it's funny.
But the point of it is, like, it's not...
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to watch it without that.
Yeah.
So, and it's basically, like, in the first one, it's kind of her going back and forth between Mark Darcy and Hugh Grant's character, and then the same thing kind of happens in the second one, but it's really, like, about her, like, she has these really great friends, and, like, kind of finding herself and realizing, like, okay, like, I am enough. Like, I'm a good person, and I don't, like, this guy treats me like crap. This guy is doing whatever, and I don't need it. Like, I just need to be, or, like, you know, realizing what you do want out of a guy. And so she eventually, this isn't a spoiler, she does marry Mark Darcy, and they have 2 kids together. And what made me mad about this one is he apparently died 4 years ago at the start of this movie, but the way that they're talking about their grief and stuff, especially the kids, made it sound like he had died so much more recently. Where it's like the older son, who's supposed to be kind of like Mark Darcy in terms of personality, he's like sitting there on a bench with his school principal, and he's like, I'm worried I'm gonna forget him. I'm like, well, you were like 4 when he died. And then, like, the daughter is, I don't know, like, drawing pictures, and she's like talking about him and stuff, and I'm like, you were maybe 1 year old. And it's like, you can be sad about, like, not having your dad, but, like, the way she's talking about him, like, it would make more sense if
you wouldn't know him.
Yeah, if he died last year, but 4 years ago is kind of, like, wild.
I think 2 would have been it, because 1 year would have been like, why are we making a movie right now? You guys should be grieving still. But 2 would be, like, enough time where it's, like, they've gotten over it a little bit, but it's still fresh in their minds.
Yeah, so I was just like, why are we doing this 4 years ago? Like, it just seems so random.
Not gotten over it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I was confused I think I was most confused on Hugh Grant's character. Like, I was like, wait, so are they in a relationship? I thought she was divorced from him, but then, like, no. So I don't know, like,
why
character.
He was even in, because he wasn't in the last movie. So I'm like, why is he in this one? I thought you were dead, apparently, and you weren't. And they brought him back, I think just because fans love him. Like, this was literally just a fan movie. Like, this is just like, you love Bridget Jones, here's all the things you love about Bridget Jones.
And he may have only agreed to been in, like, a certain amount of it, because I was otherwise going to say, like, well, why not just have her be in a relationship with him in this movie? Why not let him be the main love interest?
And I think maybe it's because she's, like, grown out of that, and that's, like, one of the things that she's supposed to grow out of. So I will say I do think that this movie was more heartfelt than it was, like, rom-com or anything.
I thought it was cute. I told you that, because at first I really was just like, okay, this isn't... as you know, as our friends know, I am not a rom-com person. That's why I've never seen Bridget Jones' Diary. I've also, as a kid, I specifically remember when they came out and my mom was, like, talking about how inauthentic her accent was. Because it is. I'm sorry. It's, like, not a good British accent.
Really? I always think she did. You know what she actually did to get that accent is Renee Zellweger, before the first movie came out, took a job at a publishing house. And worked there for months.
Okay, good for her that she could just get, like,
well,
did they know it was her?
Yeah, well, like, the people who put her in there did, but, like, the people she was working with didn't know. So imagine, like, you're working with this person, and then, like, Bridget Jones's Diary comes out, and you're like, hey, isn't that Joan?
Isn't that Renee?
Yeah.
I just think it sounds like somebody doing a British accent. You know what I mean? So it's fine, but I think it's weird because it's like, well, why not just hire a British actress?
The thing is, I think if you, again, in the first 2 movies, Renee Zellweger is perfect for this role. Like, she does it so well, where she's so lovable, but, like, also, like, kind of like a ditzy mess.
Yeah.
In this movie, her acting really pissed me off because, and I think, like, maybe the writing wasn't good, where I was like, she's just, like, so, like, whoa, the whole time. And I'm like, that's not her.
I figured. It's the whole, like, she got stuck in a tree. I was like, how'd you get stuck in a tree? Like,
yeah.
And the thing is, I think she's very, one thing I've always thought about Renee Zellweger, she's never been, like, super glamorous. Like, she's not, I've always just been like, oh, she's cute. Like, she's a cute actress.
She has an interesting face. She's also very athletic, which apparently, like, it was difficult for her, and this, like, don't fact check me on this, is just my mom telling me this, like, from 20 years ago, but she said that she was reading an interview where Renee Zellweger was saying, like, Bridget Jones is difficult because she had to, like, gain weight for the role. And that was, like, really hard because she's, like, very health conscious and very, like, fit and whatever.
But one thing I remember, Renee Zellweger was obviously, like, the actress in the early 2000s. Like, she was huge. And then she kind of disappeared, and I'm not really sure why. But then, remember when she, like, reappeared and had, like, a new face?
Yeah.
Like, she had gotten, like kind of severe plastic surgery, like, a lot. And I was wondering, when I was watching this movie, I was like, did she get some of it undone? Because she didn't look quite as shocking anymore.
I think maybe she let herself age naturally for that.
Yeah, because she looked...
She just looked older.
She looked older, but she didn't look like... I remember when the photos came out, and I'm not trying to talk bad about her, but it's, like, seriously, like, I remember, like, when she got that surgery done, it was like, or the work done, I was like, everybody was like, is that the same person? It was like kind of shocking. So I thought maybe... I was wondering if she just, like, got some of it undone or something.
Maybe. I will say I do think, like, Bridget Jones was her biggest role. Like, 100%.
So as a kid, I loved Chicago, and so that's how I knew her, was from Chicago.
Yeah. Which is, I get.
No, I'm saying, I know it's Bridget Jones, I'm saying, but I didn't watch those
That
movies,
makes sense.
That I knew her from Chicago. And she in that was also kind of, like, cute. Like, she wasn't, like, she was kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not ditzy, but just, like... You know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah, so I think there was a part in the movie, I'm not kidding. So it's, like, at the end, and the son does, like, the surprise choir performance where he's singing the song that his dad always sings to him. It's the, I'll do anything for you, dear, anything.
It's from Oliver.
Yeah. And I'm not kidding. I didn't just tear up at that. I was bawling.
It was really sweet. Yeah, I thought. Also, his voice was cute. Like,
I don't know what, I was, like, crying, and I couldn't figure it out. And, like, because there's a part where she, like, you know, sees Mark Darcy. It's not really him, but she's, like, pretending like she's looking at him, and they're kind of looking at each other. And I also started crying at the credits because they were showing pictures from the first two movies.
But I bet you also cried because you're like me that think the old sin, whatever that song is really emotional. The New Year's Eve song.
Oh, yeah.
When they were all singing that, I was like, don't do this to me. I will cry.
Yeah. But no, they were showing all these pictures from the first two movies, like, in the credits, and I was just crying. And I realized, like, part of the reason I'm crying is, I think, because, like, for me and, like, a lot of people, like, I grew up with Bridget Jones.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, oh, like, at this point in my life, like, this is Bridget Jones to me. Then the other movie comes out, and this is Bridget Jones to me. Then Bridget Jones' Baby comes out, and I'm like, okay, I didn't like that. But, like, you know, you're just, like, watching her go through these stages. And this one was, like, so much about grief. And I think maybe, like, I've also been thinking about death a lot lately. But it's like, yeah, there is a point in your life where it's, like, her dad died. And then her husband died. And then there were, like, other people around her. Like, she is at an age where it's, like, people are dying.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it was really hard watching the scene with her dad where he, like, she takes a picture with him, and it's like again, if you had seen the first two movies, her dad is like such a lovely little British man, and you're just like, it was really hard. Like, I just really love, like, oh, God, I do want you to one day watch, like, the first two Bridget Jones movies.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, this one is not, like, a representation of what
I think it was. Like, and actually, I don't know if you saw, the reviews were pretty good. They were like, it was like an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was surprised about.
I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes anymore.
After watching the movie, I was a little surprised, but I do think, like, in a way, I kind of have to, like, from an outsider's perspective, somebody who hasn't seen the first movies and didn't grow up on them, like, I actually think it was, like, a good, like, reboot movie of it. Because I mean,
yeah, for a reboot.
It wasn't, like, fantastic, and it was not a good, like, standalone movie, but I felt like it was touching still, and I felt like it was probably especially touching for fans, because, yeah, that part did make me a little emotional, too. I was like, oh, first of all, I love that song, but also, like, cute.
Yeah.
How did you feel about, like, the love interests in the movie?
So, I, like, her thing with Leo Woodall, which I know is probably, like, why you were like, yeah, I'll watch it. I was just like, what was the point of this? Like, when
Especially
when
he left, I was like...
Yeah, he was like, I love you, Bridget
Spoilers,
Jones.
Sorry.
Oh, well. That's why we said skip forward if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
But he's like, I love you, Bridget Jones. And I'm like, do you? Like...
When he said, I'm ready for all of it, like, I'm ready for Mabel... What's her daughter's name? Mabel.
Yeah.
Mabel and whoever...
Billy.
Wow, how did I remember that?
They're very weird names, I'll be honest. I mean, maybe not for British people, but...
Yeah, but it was like... well, really quick, he was just like, I was like... Haven't you met the kids, like, once, maybe? Like, what do you mean you're ready to be their dad? You're like... First of all, Leo Woodall's only 28.
Yeah, he's only 28 in the film, too. He says he's like, I'm 28.
Yeah, so it's just like, what? Like, what do
and
you
I also
mean?
was very confused about how he got her number.
He asked for it, remember? On Tinder, he was asking her. But I just thought the whole, like, the tree thing...
was stupid
because I'm like, why are you in a tree?
Also, she wasn't up that high, yeah.
No, she could have jumped down.
Yeah.
That's when I got kind of like, okay, I don't think this character, like... And I know you say you're like her, but I'm like, that's not...
No, because in the first one, it's like she gets into these situations that are very, like...
I believe you. I get what you're saying.
Like, it's more, like, authentic in the first ones, where it's just like,
this one she was intentionally... And that's why I got pissed about the not brushing her hair thing, because I texted Alexa. I was like, can this woman brush her hair?
Yeah.
Because, first of all, she goes on the date, and she looks like shit. Like, her hair looks like shit. She, like, didn't brush it out at all. It was just, like, in a weird ponytail. And she kind of just, like, didn't look put together. And I'm like, I understand that you're, like, a busy mom. But I'm like, you're going on a date. At least...
No, she's like that throughout all the movies. Where it's like... And they even make a joke. Again, a callback joke to the first movie. Where her and Hugh Grant are, like... They work in this office together. And she's, like, trying to make, like... get his eyes, so she wears this really, like, see-through top where it's just her bra. And in this movie, she's like, should I wear this on the date? And the woman's like, probably too see-through. And I'm like...
But see, I didn't think of that as like, oh, I wonder, like, that's weird and out of place. Like, it seemed like it was a joke. So,
yeah, but I'm just like, why are we, like, all the jokes are callback jokes?
Yeah.
But also, like, that's, like, her thing where it's like, she doesn't really know how to dress and she doesn't know how to do her hair, but she's still, like, somehow lovable.
And
but this one just made her too much of, like, kind of like a bumbling idiot. Yeah. And then suddenly her newscaster friend was like, what should I ask the foreign secretary of, like, not, of, like, the ecosystem or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, you should ask her about these taxes and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, and I got it. And I did a great job.
I'm back.
Yeah. And I was just like, that's not Bridget Jones. Like, it's just, it pissed me off.
But I was just like, she's in a damn tree now.
Yeah.
And
in a tree.
And I think with the teacher though, because that's what was confusing too. Is I was like, wait, who's the love interest in this? Is it him or is it the teacher?
Yeah. Well, I also thought, I'm like, why is the nanny even in this? I thought her and Leah Woodall were gonna get together, and they didn't. Also, I just remembered, why was Isla Fisher in it for 0.2 seconds? Yeah,
and I had actually seen that she was in it, and then literally they do nothing. Is she in the originals at all?
No, I don't think so.
She was not even in. I wonder if they cut her scenes or something.
It was so weird. Like, she's like, why would they not cut that scene? Like, that scene that she's in doesn't have anything to do with any of the plot ever.
I wonder, was it just it's not, she's not enough of like a cameo person, so what was that?
It was so weird.
Very strange. But I thought overall I would say, like, as somebody who hasn't seen the originals and like didn't even actually know what they were about, they were cute. It was cute.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
The originals I love so much, and sometimes, like, I just wanted to be like, please don't judge it. Please don't judge the whole franchise on this.
You know why I was watching it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I knew. Which I think you got a decent amount of him, shirtless, doing whatever. When he
jumped in the pool, I was like, aw.
Which is, like, honestly kind of a dream. Like, can you imagine you're, like, in your mid-50s, though, and you're just like, yeah, this is my boyfriend.
So based on this movie alone, and I have to say this, it's going to sound bad, but again, not brushing her hair, kind of just looking like a mom, and I think, not that moms aren't hot, but, like... You know, I just was a little surprised she was pulling that easily.
Yeah. I think she was too, though.
Yeah, but I just was surprised, like, realistically, would Leah Woodall's character really be into her?
But I think that's part of the thing, is it's not realistic, because in each movie, like, she pulls Hugh Grant. In the last one, she pulls, what's his name, Dr. McDreamy?
Yeah, but he's at least, like, because he's, like, older than her, right?
Yeah, but in the first movie, I mean, it's the year 2000, so it's, like, young Hugh Grant. So it's, like, hot Hugh Grant, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, what's the guy, Dr. McDreamy, what's his name?
Oh, Patrick Dempsey?
Yeah, he's her love interest in the previous one.
Yeah, I forgot he's in those.
Yeah.
I just thought, like, I don't know. And I'm probably because, like, I guess, like, you know, guys are into, like, MILFs, but I just think, like...
But I think it goes to show, like, it's supposed to be like, oh, yeah, like, you can be a bit of a mess and still, like, you're lovable. The whole thing about her is she's lovable. But you wouldn't get that from this movie.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing. But I do think, like, the reason why, like, this movie, people are like, yeah, I'll come back and do it. Like, I will do... like...
money.
Yeah, money. And I think, like, it is, like SNL. Like, it is a very much a staple of, like, early... Pop culture.
Yeah. No, yeah. I thought it was a nice movie for the fans.
Yeah. But anyways, speaking of... Well, I guess not a reboot, but, like... a new chapter, White Lotus.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I did too.
Okay.
Obviously. Okay, I'm just curious. Okay, so this is going to have some spoilers, just like FYI. Because we're probably in the future going to do like a big episode with a friend of the pod, special guest star, and do kind of like a big like full episode about all of the show, because we love White Lotus and I have a lot to say about the show in general, but I think like we're gonna I want to talk about this episode this season. I have been anxiously awaiting this season since they announced the cast, because it is a good cast. It's such a White Lotus cast. You know what I mean?
Amy Lou, what's her last name? Wood?
Why do I kind of want to say it's Wood?
It made me laugh because Chris had never seen her, and you said something. He was like, oh, yeah, she's British. I was like, you can tell she's British before she even speaks.
But here's the thing about that. I've never seen them acknowledge her teeth until... I've never heard somebody... I even said that out loud. I was like, oh, I've never heard somebody acknowledge her teeth.
And I feel bad because,
until
like,
this episode.
Own your truth. Be how you want. But I'm also curious. I'm like, you never thought about, like, braces?
I think it's kind of cute. Well, I don't want to talk bad about her.
I don't either. I love her.
And also, like, just be proud of who you are. And also, here's what I'll say. I didn't think about it until the model character... We'll get into stuff. We'll start explaining things.
Her on something, and I can't remember what it is.
I don't know, but when she said, oh, I love your teeth, and then she later said she's a model, I was like, yeah, models actually... There's a lot of, like, British models who have some interesting teeth. Like, you know, Remember when Gap Tooth was a thing?
Yeah. Gap tooth bitch.
It's not my fault you're so gap tooth.
But yeah, I thought this was a good intro episode. I will say I do think it's interesting. I feel like right out of the gate, more than any other season, this episode was like, these people suck and you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas other seasons, it was
They're
like...
a little more subtle about it. Yeah. I did think, like the scene...
I'm a Tar Heel and he goes to a Duke, but, you know, it's, as you can imagine, it's a whole thing.
So it felt exposition-y, but at the same time, I did see a lot of people pointing out, like, a North Carolina family like that would be just giving you way too much information.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. So that was, like, so Parker Posey played the mom in that family. It was, like, so one of the characters, for those who haven't seen it, one of the, like, characters are, like, this, like, family, and they seemingly normal family. Not sure about that. But they, Parker Posey is, like, the mom, and she has, like, this really thick Southern accent. And the dad does, too. The dad's British, and a lot of people said they thought he had a good Southern accent. I personally did not. It's way more subtle. I heard his British accent before he even started.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, at first I did.
I thought he did, but he's more subtle about it.
Yeah, hers was, like, over the top, but I thought that's just how I think Parker Posey is, like, one of the funniest people. Yeah. Like, she's so funny. But they were talking, I just thought it was very telling that, like, they're in Thailand, and she's like, you know, the Duke and whatever school it was, like, rivalry. Like, she's talking about, like, school North rivalries Carolina. As if anybody in Thailand would know or care. Yeah. You know?
They're just like,
But I do agree with you that it did feel like they were kind of right off the bat just giving so much information about their characters. I'm like, let's be subtle about it. Let's like ease into it. The friends were already like, we've been friends in school, and like, here's our dynamic.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I am curious to see how that dynamic plays out. And maybe it's one of those things where they're giving us all this information.
For a reason,
and it's going to play out differently. I do think that brother and sister are fucking.
I think the brothers and sister, first of all, the brothers thing is weird.
Yeah, it's weird, where he's like, I'm going to go masturbate. Here's my bare ass.
But not even that. Like, from the very beginning, they laid it out that, like, they have a weird relationship because they first say, like, okay, there's only 3 bedrooms, and then they kind of start arguing over who the brother is gonna sleep with.
Yeah, the younger brother.
Yeah, and then they're kind of like, he's like, Patrick Schwarzenegger's character is like,
is that Patrick Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. Who I really like him a lot.
Interesting.
I'm excited that he's in this show. Although, let me just say something really quick. I saw an interview with him where he was, like, talking about how excited he was to book the White Lotus, and, like, how he was, like, hiding it from his family. And then he even posted on Instagram, like, a video of him, like, announcing to his family. And it's, like, such an achievement for him because he, like, loves watching the show. And I'm like, okay, but you are a Nepo baby, so is it really an achievement? Like, you didn't have, I don't buy that you had to work that hard to get this role. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think he's good. I do think he's good. But anyway.
He reminds me of if, what's-his-face from the first season, the main character, like, literally just split into 2.
The hotel one, the one who wanted the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody pointed out there's always one of those characters in each season. So it's like him, I think his name is Jake Lacey. Him, and then the second season was Theo James, and then and then Patrick Schwarzenegger is this season.
That makes sense.
But I'm already intrigued by him because, so yeah, he's kind of creepy towards the siblings. First of all, he was like, he called his sister hot and said, like, he was like, she's hot, but she hasn't gotten laid. And I'm like, why are you talking about your sister like that? Yeah. So there's, like, some kind of weird incestual thing going on. Yeah. They are not a normal family.
They keep saying we're a normal family, which is, like, as we always say, if you have to keep saying that, you probably aren't.
And I liked the, like, symbolism of, like, at first, because they have, like, what are they called? Meditation guide or something.
Your wellness guide.
Guide or whatever. And she was saying, like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't eat that fruit. And it's, like, already the forbidden fruit thing.
Yes.
Like,
well, also, Chris and I were, like, laughing. So it's basically they're at the villa and this fruit is falling from the tree onto the ground. He's like, can I eat this fruit? And she's like, no, it's toxic. You'll die. I'm like, why would a hotel just have that?
Have it, yeah.
I feel like there would be just, like, signs about, or they would just take the tree down.
And then, like, people, God. Sometimes I don't realize, like, some White Lotus viewers and Severance viewers are, like, very dumb. Yeah. Like, on TikTok, you'll just see comments where they think I'm just like, no. But some people were like, oh, that fruit's going to come into play later, which it very well might come into play later. But I'm also like, hey, it was a forbidden fruit thing. Like, that's all it was.
But they also, I think White Lotus, especially, each season they ramp it up where they do, like, a lot of these tropes on, like, because you know someone's going to get murdered. So, like, the one woman's like, oh, I slept like a corpse. Or, like.
Or Amy Lee or whatever her name is, Amy Lou, was like, I will get you to have joy if it kills me or something.
Yeah, and I feel like the first season, they maybe did that a little bit. The second season, they played it up a little bit more. This season, it's, like, really heavy on, like, the death innuendos.
Yeah. But they're all just kind of miserable like, Walton Goggins' character was just, like, so miserable, but I think there's something up with him because he's, like, looking at the old people. Like, I don't know what he was looking up.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't really understand his character. But, so the big thing, the big, like, kind of, like, OMG moment of the episode was when Amy Lou, whatever, the girlfriend or the wife, she goes to the bar and she meets the model, like we were just saying, and she compliments her teeth, and she's talking to her, and they're complaining about how their boyfriends are, like, they're hiding from their boyfriends and whatever. And she goes, I'm not kidding. As soon as she goes, yeah, that's my boyfriend over there, the bald one in the orange shirt. He was out of frame. They kind of blur him out until they, like, focus on him. As soon as she said the bald man in the orange shirt, I was like, it's gonna be him. This man has been in every scene. It's so crazy.
I hate him. And what is that actor's name? Greg. That's it.
No, hold on, because he's from Napoleon Dynamite. I know him. Shoot. I'll think of it later. It'll come to me later. But I was like, oh, damn, that's going to be so crazy. But I thought about it because, I mean, he was the reason that Jennifer Coolidge, like, died essentially.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to be out there. That's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, does Belinda, because Belinda comes from the first season, I'm like, will she recognize him?
Can I tell you what I think of whenever I hear the name Belinda?
I think of a witch.
So there was this thing that my cousin told me about a few years ago. It was a very popular podcast called My Dad Wrote a Porno, where it basically was these British people, their dad self-published, like, basically a 50 Shades of Grey type of thing, and the main character was called Belinda, and every time something, like, sexy happened, it would be like, Belinda blinked. Belinda blinks. And it's just like, she's always blinking all the time. And so now whenever they say Belinda, I just think of that porno where she's blinking.
Wow. I think of a witch for some reason. It's a very witchy name.
It is a witchy name.
So it's interesting that she's there, and then her son. And people are so dumb who watch the show. Like, not to call out people if you didn't notice this, but, like, everybody was like, oh, that was her son? Like, and it's like, yeah, he talked. I don't know. Like, maybe I just saw, like, things about it, but she talks to her son in the first season.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was her son until she's calling her son at the end of the episode. Like, 'cause I wasn't thinking about it.
I wonder if I just knew because I had seen, like, things, but somehow I did know. Maybe, okay, sorry I called everybody dumb, but I just kind of felt like I already knew that.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've set up the season to be really interesting. I just hope they, like, the thing that I like about White Lotus is it's not super heavy-handed.
No.
And I like how it builds, and I hope they don't, like...
very slow burn.
Yeah. And I hope they don't, like...
rush it.
Yeah, lose that recipe.
I think they won't, because you know why? I mean, already with this episode, I was thinking, like, wow, this is very slow. But then at the same time, it finishes and you're like, damn, I wish another episode was out, because you're just like, it somehow was so exciting. And it wasn't an exciting episode whatsoever. Some people may even call it boring. But to me, it was just like, it was exciting.
Because it's all these people, all these tempers simmering.
Yes. And it's like all these new characters. And I'm just... they're all so mysterious. I loved the dynamic between the friends, though, because I felt so sad for Carrie Coon. Like, when she just, like, starts sobbing. Yeah. Because none of them were complimenting her, and she just, like, I just felt bad.
But the other two friends, I feel like all their compliments are fake compliments.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They definitely are, like,
there's something sinister going on there.
Yeah, like, they definitely, I was like, Chris and I were both like, those two women hate each other.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And that's why they're not saying anything to Carrie Coon. They don't hate her. They don't see her as a competition type of thing, which is almost worse.
Which would hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her cry was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm interested. Oh, I saw a theory. This is why I was saying some people are dumb, because I saw a theory that, like, the shooter was maybe one of the monkeys. And I'm like, they didn't get a gun.
That's stupid.
They were like, my theory, and they were so serious. They were like, my theory is that it's actually one of the monkeys who, like, because you know how, like, they pointed out that all the deaths on the show are kind of almost, like, humorous a little bit.
Yeah.
The first two were, like, they kind of had, like, comedic elements to them. And so they were saying, like, one of the monkeys shoot. I'm like,
that's
monkeys
not
didn't
funny.
Shoot the guns, and I wouldn't think that's funny. It would piss me off.
Yeah, that would be stupid. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Do we want to do a wine break before I want to get into another horrible person?
Sure.
Okay, this is a Joseph Handler Riesling, courtesy of Trader Joe's. Oh my god, I really poured that way too fast. Almost ruined everything. So Molly, how much do you know about Apple Cider Vinegar, the show?
I just know Caitlin Deaver's in it.
Okay. I am going to take you on a journey.
Okay.
Okay. So, this is the reason why I said, like, do you know anything about Belle Gibson or, like, the controversy or anything? Mm-mm. Okay, so I'm actually very invested in this, and that's why you texted me. You were like, did you know, like, this show Apple Cider Vinegar was coming out? And I was like, oh, clocked it, already on my...
And I didn't even, like, I just saw it, and I was like, this seems like an Alexa show. And I didn't know why, I just...
Well, I am interested. I listened to a podcast from, it's a podcast called Maintenance Phase, where they talked about her, and then Shameless did, like, a 3-part episode on her. And so this is a real person, and basically her name is Belle Gibson, and this is a show on Netflix, for clarification. It's called Apple Cider Vinegar. I'm going to say spoilers, but it's, like, a true story, so whatever. Mm-hmm. And who claimed she had cancer, built up this whole business based on the fact that she had cancer, only to find out that she was lying about it the whole time. And so, and it sounds like not that crazy, but this is a quick timeline. So she says she was diagnosed with malignant brain cancer in 2009, and she's created this huge, like, Instagram following based on that, being like, oh, like, I have cancer and I'm curing myself through holistic healing, like, through, like, I'm eating well, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And she said that originally her doctors had diagnosed her with 4 months to live. Because, she was saying she had brain cancer, which, like, of all the cancers is pretty much, like, the survival rate has not improved since the 1980s. So it's like, you're gonna die if you have brain cancer. And she had said she was on a quest to heal herself naturally through nutrition, patience, determination, and love. Then in 2013 is when she launched her brand called The Whole Pantry, which was basically an app that was like it was an app that had like clean eating recipes. So it was like gluten-free, chemical-free, sugar-free, whatever. And it was just like very like aesthetically pleasing, right? And she literally like, this is how much it blew up. So it, in the first month, was downloaded 200,000 times. And I think like in the couple of years that it was like, she earned like multi-million dollars, and it was voted Apple's best food and drink app of 2013. I want you to remember again, the whole app is on the basis that she has brain cancer.
Yeah.
And she's like, she'll be saying things. She's like, oh, just took a trip to the doctor. And she's Australian, sorry. That was a British accent, if you couldn't tell.
Well, no, I'm just like, Caitlin Deaver did an Australian accent.
She did a good job, I think. Yeah, she did a really good job at it. It felt very authentic. Mm-hmm. And so she's built like this whole brand off of being like, I have cancer. And she's done the whole pantry, and she's been like, oh, a big part of it is that we donate to charities, and that like 90% of like our income goes to like this charity, so much so that in the show they touch on, there's like a family that she meets where the son, it's like a little boy who's 8 years old, he has a glioblastoma, which is brain cancer, and he has to have some experimental surgery that they can't pay for, and she's like, my company is going to raise funds for you. And the mom is like, great, sounds amazing. You can probably imagine where this is going. But continue forward, in 2014, she launched a cookbook under the same name of The Whole Pantry, and in it she had claimed that she had been cancer-free for multiple years. Do you want to know who published this cookbook? Penguin. And so at this point, again, so many followers, people are like literally going off of chemotherapy, going off of traditional medicine, because they are like, oh, Belle Gibson, she had brain cancer and she looks amazing. Like, she looks incredibly healthy.
Crazy that her name is Belle Gibson and she's Australian, and so is Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah, they make that joke like so many times in the show. She's literally like harming people by making all of these false claims because people are believing her and they are trusting her. And the big thing people keep asking, they're like, how did she get this much? To the point where around like 2014, she went to Apple headquarters for a secret meeting because they were going to make the Whole Pantry app automatically on everyone's Apple Watch. Like, that's how big it was. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's not even like some crazy app. It's literally like recipes, and like you can make a shopping list or whatever. Yeah. But back then, like, this was a big deal. And so I think the thing is, like, she is a compulsive liar, and the show like really shows that. Because it goes back into like her childhood, where as a teenager someone found like this blog, like a skater blog or whatever, where she was posting saying that she had had a stroke and she needed to have open heart surgery and she had X, Y, and Z. So she had been lying about like these health diagnoses for years.
Yeah.
And and they show like that she was raised by this mom who kind of didn't really care about her that much. Like, so she was clearly doing these health things to get attention. And there was this line that really stuck out in the show where it's like her boyfriend comes over to her mom's house, and she's an adult. They're like staying there for her mom's getting married or whatever. And she like kind of has this little breakdown. And she tells her boyfriend, and I feel like this was true. She was like, I didn't know how to change the sheets until I was an adult. She was like, my mom let me sleep in dirty sheets for years.
Ew.
She was like, she had never changed the sheets. And I think that just goes to show, like, and her mom comes out and does an interview and is like, I gave that girl everything, whatever. But it's kind of like the way she says it. And she goes, and this is how she repays me. You're kind of like, well, that's not really a motherly thing to say. Like, there's something weird going on there. Mm-hmm. So then she, I think like around 2014, she kind of notices like, okay, I think people might be catching on. So I'm going to say like, I'm stepping back. But instead of just saying that, she announces that she has been diagnosed with 4 other cancers. She said she has cancer in her blood, her spleen, her uterus, and her liver. And that she's like, I have to take a step back from the whole pantry, but we're still like, my team is going to run it, whatever. Then by 2015, she had made about like $1 million in sales, and she had claimed that she donated $300,000 into charity. And it was around this time that there were 2 journalists, Bo Donnelly and Nick Toscano, working for a newspaper called The Age, who had caught on to her and they were trying to publish a story. Mm-hmm. It is very hard to prove that someone is lying that they have brain cancer because you can't just demand their medical records. So they started out first by like, saying she was committing charity fraud. Yeah. And they found out that she had only donated about $7,000 of $300,000 that she had claimed she had given. And they showed this with that family who has the little kid that she was like, oh, I'm going to donate all this money so he can get the surgery for, where they believe her. They literally, like, he's in the hospital. He's about to go to, like, surgery, and the mom is trying to call her and being like, hey, where is the money? Like, you said that you had raised all this money for us. And she's just like, oh, sorry, I'm on my way to a funeral, so like I can't really talk right now, but like there's just something, like, she's like, we just have to deal with the cash flow. And the mom's like, cash flow? My son, like, her son's going to die.
Yeah.
Because like, she thought, oh, you said we raised all this money through your company.
Yeah.
And so like that just goes to show like how awful she was. So then like it starts to come out that like, hey, she doesn't really have brain cancer. And it's because people around her started asking questions. And in 2015, she did a 60 Minutes interview with Australia, which I watched part of this interview. It's crazy the way she lies about it. So she explains that she's like, so she started to say, I think I was misdiagnosed originally. She said that a man named Dr. Phil came to her house and picked her up and diagnosed her with brain cancer after putting this thing on her stomach that then like sent electric pulses and did whatever. And the interviewer is like, did you have brain cancer? True or false? And Belle starts to go, well, and she's like, true or false? And she's like, I did believe at that time that I did have brain cancer. And it's so insane to see the way, like, how bad she's lying, because it's like, you created a whole business and you didn't think of a better name for your doctor than Dr. Phil. Like, that's insane. And like, people will be like, where are your medical records? And she'll start like she'll say, oh,
she's like looking around, she's like, Dr. Lampshade.
Yeah. She's like that Brady Bunch. She's like, Dr. Tropicana.
George Glass.
Yeah. And so it's crazy, like, the amount of stuff she faked, so again, they'll be like, where are your medical records? And she said she didn't want to keep them because she didn't want that negative energy in the house. Like, that's what she's saying. So I like literally wrote down a list of crazy things she faked. So she faked a massive seizure at her son's birthday party for everyone.
But she has a son?
Yes.
How old is she?
She had a son when she was supposedly 18, but that's another thing. She said she was born in like 1988. She's actually born in 1991, and she was like, oh, it was misprinted once, and it just keeps getting reprinted. And the thing is, like, people keep saying, they're like, yeah, I thought she was sick because she's very charming. She's very, like, she is, like, very clearly, like, the typical sociopath. Like, she kind of diverts you, and she never paid for any of, like, when she was setting up the app, she never paid people for it, because she'd be like, well, this is, like, we're all part of the mission, like, we're helping people with cancer, and they'd be like, okay, sure, I guess. But yeah, so she faked a seizure at her son's birthday party to the point where people, like, other adults said they started, like, crying because of, like, they're, like, watching this woman have a seizure.
I would have loved to have seen her version of a seizure.
Apparently it was extremely convincing. Like, at the party, people were like, oh my God, like, yeah, she has brain cancer. And she also, like, it's just crazy. Like, the amount of stuff that everything she says is a lie. And it got to the point where it's like she was winning, like, an award from, it was like Glamour magazine, like, best woman in media something for the year of 2014. And again, people kept being like, how did this happen? Why did no one say, like, does she really have cancer? And it's interesting because you think about, like, the health and wellness community now, but even at, like, the early days of, like, social media, like, the internet was different back then. And it's just like, yeah, at that time, like, it was kind of a toxic culture. So the Netflix show follows her story, and it's Caitlin Dever, who is a phenomenal actress. Again, I think I've seen almost everything except Booksmart that she's been in.
Yeah, I haven't seen Booksmart either.
Even down to the Tim Allen show she was in. I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, she was.
And she does a really good job. But so they also start at the beginning of the episode. Each time, like, it's a different actor saying it. Like, they're, like, going through their life, and they'll be like, but she says it in the first episode where they say, this is a true story based on a lie. And you know that they're saying that because of Baby Reindeer. They phrased it that way because Baby Reindeer got all those lawsuits by saying, this is a true story.
Yeah.
It's like 100, like, I was like, as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, this is the Baby Reindeer repercussion.
Yeah, or it's just, they're just trying to be, like, clever with, like...
Maybe.
Because what is the show? There's a show that... There's something that I watch where it's like, maybe it's like Fargo or something, where they'll be like, some of this is true, or like, some of this actually happened, or something.
Yeah.
It's always, like, funny to use, like, a cute...
I don't know. Thing. But, and I just, there's also, so the story follows her, and then it also follows this other woman named Milla, who she is basically, I think she is supposed to be based on this woman named Jessica Ainscoe. I'm not Australian, but I hope I'm saying this right, who she was diagnosed with I can't say this, with some sort of sarcoma in her arm in 2008 at the age of 22. She's also, like, this health and wellness influencer. But it's also supposed to stand in for, like, all of those, like, kind of cancer influencers at the time who were like, I'm going, like, chemo-free or whatever. And it's really interesting because you just see, like, how tough this journey is for someone who actually has cancer. And then you see, like, what Belle Gibson is doing. And it's horrific. And you watch, like, because we both have worked with, like, in our marketing experience, we work with patients who talk to doctors. And there's this one scene that really struck me where Milla, the character, she has cancer, like, all up and down her arms, basically. And the doctor is saying, like, yeah, we're going to have to cut your arm off. And she basically, like, gets mad, and she's like, can you look me in the face when you talk about cutting my arm off? Because they're just treating her like, you know, she's just, like, facts and figures on a sheet. Mm-hmm. And so I think, like, it's interesting because it brings that point of view to it, but it does a good job of showing, like, okay, Belle Gibson is, like, a compulsive liar and is actually, like, it's crazy how deep it goes. But I think they give her a little bit of an empathetic view too, where it's like, okay, she kind of came from this tough background. No one, like, really cared about her. And I think, like, they just show, like, all these different points to it that I think are really interesting. I will say it does this thing that I've noticed, like, a lot of, like, based on a true story stuff have done, like, not Dope Sick, but there was another one that came out, like, another show that came out on, like, the opioid epidemic, where it would just be, like, sometimes they're, like, breaking the fourth wall, and, like, sometimes it would be, like, oh, here's a bunch of hearts, like, on a screen, or, like, Anna Delvey did that, or, like, you know, like, the way where it's, like, almost, like, very poppy, like, things. Which I kind of was just,
I could see this show doing it. It seemed like that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, whatever. But it gets very real when, and this is a huge spoiler, but the girl Milla, like, she ends up, you know, she goes to Mexico for this, like, special treatment place where she's trying to heal her cancer through, like, juicing and coffee enemas. And it works for a while, but then, as you can imagine, it does not. And it comes back, and they basically show how her arm is, like, rotting. Like, it's to the point where the doctor's like, we can't help, like, the next step is palliative care. Like, we can't help you. And then she dies, and Belle Gibson goes to her funeral because she's like, oh, this is my mentor. Like, we're friends. We whatever. And it's like, they weren't friends. She just like would comment on her like social media stuff all the time and is like bawling at her funeral and it's just like, it just shows you like, wow, I think like these people, like, you know, these people with cancer are going through like these really horrible things. And yes, maybe what like Mila's character was doing also wasn't great, but you have a right to like go through treatment however you want to. The difference is Belle did not have cancer and wasn't sick and was telling people all of these lies that then like, so there's another character that you follow, and it's the wife of the journalist who eventually exposes her, and she has cancer, and it's like she goes to, I think it's like Peru or something, and she does like this, she does ayahuasca, and she's like trying to find herself, and her husband's getting frustrated because he's like, you need like actual medical care, and she's like, well, no, like look at Belle, like I met her, she was great, like she told me she loved me, and like all of this stuff. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, people who are sick are so very easy to prey on. Yeah. And you just, like, really see this with her. And so, basically, she gets found out. Penguin, like, is like, hey, we're recalling this book. Apple takes her off the App Store. So, at the end, they did this interesting thing where, like, you know how most,
well, did she go to prison?
So, at the end, they just kind of show her at her low point, and they start to do the thing where it's, like, after, you know, Belle Gibson did, like, the text on the screen, it cuts to Caitlin Deaver's face, and she's like, actually, you know what? You can fucking Google it. Which I think is interesting. Like, I've never seen a show do that.
Yeah.
So I Googled it, of course. And so what happened to her basically was in 2017, Gibson was found guilty of five breaches of consumer law, and she was ordered by a federal court in Melbourne, to repay $410,000 to the state of Victoria for her false charity promises. However, in 2021, her house had been raided again due to the unpaid fines, which were more than $500,000. So she basically owes like $1 million, but I don't think anyone's...
They're never gonna see that.
No, and I don't think anyone's seen or heard from her in years. I think she like probably changed her name and is like undercover.
I feel like she should go to prison for committing fraud.
She probably should, but she didn't. So I don't know, like, I don't know why. I mean, maybe the like difference, like legal.
Like I mean, it sounds like there's just like civil charges, but I feel like criminal charges should be taken out.
But I think it's just such an interesting show, and I think it's like very, like, this one is obviously very cancer oriented. Excuse me. But I think in this day and age where we're always talking about like health and wellness, I'm a wellness influencer, I'm a fitness influencer, and we just had that thing where it was like all these fitness influencers were found out where it's like, oh, I actually don't even do the workouts, I have a BBL.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just like, we are all so susceptible to what we're seeing online, and it's like, maybe we should question the fact that this woman said she had brain cancer and she's here. Yeah. Fine. She's taking trips to Bali, you know? Mm. So I think the show was really good. It was a very quick, I think it's like 5 episodes maybe. I think it was done very well, but I also think like it does, for me, it brought up a lot of anxiety because I feel like as a kid, like just the idea of cancer has been like really terrifying. And so sometimes like watching shows like this, like just brings back that like fear in me again, which I think is interesting. And it again is so crazy to think of someone like preying on that.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Elizabeth Holmes one.
Yeah.
That's what she's kind of sounds like her a little bit.
That's what people compared it to, that and like the Anna Delvey.
Yeah, I was gonna say Anna Delvey too. Because of all the lies. And
so I'm curious, like from your perspective, some people have said like these shows, there's been criticisms of it because it's like, why are we like uplifting these scammers with these shows that basically turn them into like megastars again?
Yeah.
Which I think is true, but also at the same time, I think it's good to put it out there because, like I said, maybe it's like a learning experience. Like it's entertaining, but also I think if you watch it, you should walk away with like some sort of perspective.
I mean, it depends. I think the Anna Delvey show definitely made her a celebrity. Like she went on Dancing with the Stars, and like, so that I think in a way made it kind of worse, but I don't know, with this, like, I mean, I didn't watch it, so I'm not sure. But I think it probably showed everyone what a psycho she is.
Yeah. I think it does for all of them. Even, like, the Elizabeth Holmes one, which I also watched and was really good. I think it just shows, like, that one was, like, a little bit more humanizing because I think that was, like, again, like a duck with its feet underwater, you know, whereas, like, she was trying to do this thing and it wasn't working out and she really, like, lied and cheated her way, but it was, like, you know, I think she did genuinely want to help people at the beginning, whereas this, like, you can tell from the beginning that Belle Gibson just kind of wanted to get attention. She just wanted people to be like, wow, that's a great person.
Yeah.
Which is actually the same of Elizabeth Holmes, a little bit true, too. But, and it's both the same thing where it's interesting. Both of them, like, were watching Steve Jobs documentaries and trying to, like, learn about him and, like, thought that he was their idol and stuff. And here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. So I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like Caitlin Dever. She's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, I saw her. Have you seen her in Unbelievable? Mm-mm. So it's about, like, and this is a little bit of a trigger warning.
Oh, yes. It's
about, like,
where she was assaulted.
Yeah. You did see it?
No, but I've heard it. I know what you're talking about.
She does an amazing job in that. Yeah. It's a really good show. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. But yeah.
I think Merritt Wever was the lawyer in that movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good segue maybe into our next topic. I don't know. Merritt Wever played Dylan's wife
in Severance. Yeah, so if you haven't been following along, we are watching Severance season 3.
That was a really good transition.
I actually forgot that was her name, but she did a good job in that show. She's in something else too that I watched recently.
She's always really good.
Yeah, I like her. But yeah, so Severance season 2, crazy. Your theory was right.
I know. And it wasn't just
also,
me.
Spoilers.
Most people were saying it. Yeah,
Warning.
spoilers incoming. We just haven't talked about it in a few weeks. We've had so many topics, so we just didn't get to touch. So we've missed like 3 episodes as far as like recapping them or just discussing them. But yeah, my theory was correct. But it was most people's theory. I think most people realize that, again, spoilers, skip ahead if you're not caught up. But Helly was actually her outie.
Yeah, which I think, like, you told me that theory, but also I think, like, it became kind of clear before, like, it was revealed.
It did. It became clear to me pretty much when she was first talking. So when she comes in, and I think it's second. Which is the one where they all come back? Is it the first or second episode?
I think it's the first one, yeah.
And they all come in and, like, she kind of already seems a little, like, cold. Like, it's not, like, there's a little bit of a disconnect between her and Mark. Mm-hmm. But then I really noticed it when she and Mark are, like, discussing Miss Casey. And she's kind of like, no, our innies are not the same as our outies. And, like, she just seems, like, very different.
Adamant, yeah.
And just, like, also her, like, attitude is, like, a little different. And then also I had seen a theory that somebody pointed out, like, when they go into the elevators at the end of, I think, episode 1, I guess, they each go into the elevator, and all of them, you can hear the ding of, like, not the elevator ding, but the ding of, like, when they switch. You don't hear hers.
Yeah.
So that was when I think everyone kind of, or more people realized, like, okay, it's probably her outie. Yeah. But you don't fully learn until what I thought was, like, an amazing episode. Episode 3, I think.
For the
Severance?
For when they do Severance. Yeah.
Sorry, I meant when they go on the camping retreat. Yeah. Which was very weird. It started out there, like, in a tundra, basically. And you learn that they're, like... But I actually don't understand how they did this. Did you understand how they were in there, but they weren't there?
I think so I think when they go into the elevator, they were there. Like, they were in the woods, like, they were there. But I think it's, like, when you go into the elevator and you hear that ding, it activates it. But also, like, you can activate the outie innie switch at any point.
Okay. So
that's
they
the
sent them
overtime contingency, OTC.
Okay, so the outies all knew they were going.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense then. But the whole episode is so crazy because you're just like, what are they? It's like this weird thing where they're all, like, you know, in, like, on this camping retreat. Milchek is trying to make it, like, nice, as he always does. He always tries to make things nice, and then they ruin it.
He is a fantastic actor.
I hope, if he does not get nominated for an Emmy this time, because I looked, and I thought, so the first season was nominated for Best Drama. I think it was still up against, like, Succession and stuff, so it really kind of was overlooked, but, like, And I think Adam Scott and John Turturro were nominated, but I was so shocked to see that nobody else was. Not even Patricia Arquette.
Yeah.
Not Helly, which I can't remember. Britt Lauer.
Britt Lauer, yeah.
And Milkshake. Like, he is... I know he'll get nominated this time because he's, like, really good.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. And I
can't remember his name. It starts with a T.
Yeah, I saw it. Name. I think the New Yorker did a profile on him. Tremel Tillman.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I thought my favorite scene is the waffle party. Mm-hmm. Where he's like dancing and he's like behind them.
The dancing is like the creepiest thing to me. When I went back and watched, when he's just like he's in their faces. But I really thought he was good in this last episode because you kind of are starting to see him unravel a little bit.
Yeah.
And you see him kind of like lose that like stiffness, like you're also learning a lot more about him as far as he's like acknowledging, like the show is acknowledging that he's Black.
Yeah, because it's a whole thing where they give him, there's like paintings throughout like the Severance floor of Kier or whatever, and they give him redone paintings where they've made Kier Black. Yeah. And he's just like, thanks.
And the one who gives it to him, her name is Natalie.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's her role?
She's like an assistant to the board.
The board says hello.
Yeah.
And she is also Black. And so he's trying to gauge from her, like, okay, how do you feel about this? Because he's like, I have mixed feelings. I don't really know how to feel about this. And she just like really, you can see it in her eyes that she's like how she maybe feels, but she won't ever say it because she works for.
Because where she works for.
Yeah. But anyway, but I just thought, like, so the whole thing.
I will say, before I forget, I think, like, Britt Lowry / Helena / Heliar, I think the part that really threw me off where I was like, is it her, is it not, was when they're sitting around the campfire and Milkshake is telling this campfire story, and it's basically like a storybook of Kier Egan where he's, like, in the woods with his brother who then masturbates and essentially spontaneously combusts in the woods. Yeah. And Helly's character just starts laughing.
Which was any Helly a little bit. That felt very any core.
And that's why I was like, okay, maybe it is her.
Right, because she wouldn't have laughed. But maybe she was trying to be her.
Yeah. Which I think if she was trying to do. But I do think it was interesting, like, so when Mark S., like, they all find out that it wasn't any Helly that was with them. It was Audi Helena. And so then any Helly in this last episode comes back and she's like, well, what was she like? And he's like, she was like you.
And he's very off. He like doesn't, he's kind of afraid of her, I think. Yeah. He's just like, first of all, I don't know if it is you.
Yeah. And I think that is like for a trust thing, but I think it's also scary for all of them to be like, oh, I don't actually have control of my mind or my body. And like, I was thinking of us as two separate people, but maybe we're not.
But it's crazy because like she's like feels violated. She's like, she took over my body. And like, obviously everybody's kind of like weird with her and she's just like, I feel bad. She's like having to freak out by herself. Yeah. And also she's still confused. She's having to be caught up on everything. Right. She didn't know about Miss Casey. She didn't know about like all of this. She didn't know who like the
Miss
girl
Swan
was.
Yeah.
But I was just going to go back really quick. So like John Turturro, I actually hope he does win an Emmy because he was so amazing. I love Irving so much, like to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm missing a dearly departed family member. Like I just love him so much. And he's the one who just right off the bat knew that Helly, or had a feeling that Helly was lying, because when they're all talking about where they were when their innies took over, at the end of the last season, she comes up with this weird lie, and you kind of are wondering, you don't know for sure. Like, my theory about her being the Audi, about her being Helena, was like, she might have been, but also I was like, well, it would make sense for her to lie because she maybe didn't want everybody to know that she was related to the family. Right. So that also made sense.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And so anyway, she comes up with this lie that like she was at her house and there was like a gardener, but it was at night. Yeah. And immediately Irving is like, so it was a night gardener? Like, why was there a night gardener? Yeah. And so he's stuck on this night gardener.
Which is understand, like...
Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah. Why was there a gardener outside at night? Which is crazy,
like, knowing what we know now that was Audi Helly. I'm like, why didn't they come up with a better lie?
Yeah, she came up with it on the spot. And I'm like, yeah, they maybe should have come in with a fully fledged lie. But anyway, they didn't. So now Irving is, like, kind of onto her. And he keeps, like... So during this, like, outdoor retreat episode, which some people hated, by the way. A lot of people didn't like that episode.
I thought I was going to hate it at the beginning.
I did too, because I was like, this is weird.
I think I liked it once one of the best episodes around the campfire and stuff.
I liked it. Yeah, and it was one of the best episodes I thought of the show, just because it was like the whole scene where he's like, he really wants Helly to admit, he's like, you're not Helly, like, Night Gardener, like, what is this Night Gardener? And she just like won't admit it. And also she says something mean to him and kind of makes fun of him, and he says later, he was like, that was really cruel what you said, and Helly was never cruel. And it was so, like, emotional, like, Irving.
It was, yeah.
And, it was so crazy because finally he, like, basically tries to drown her, because he's like, admit that you're Helly. Yeah. And, like, finally she's like, okay, like, just do it, like, because he's telling them to, like, turn it off or whatever. And Melchek is kind of, like, freaking out. And I thought it was so crazy when she was like, she's just like, do it, Seth. And Irving's like, yes, do it, Seth. Like, he's it's like so venomous. Like, I just love him.
Because the thing is, it's like she has violated Heliar. Yeah. And she's violated their trust in a huge way, which this is a big spoiler, but Mark and Heliar, aka Helena, Egan, have sex when it's still her outie. Yeah. And he doesn't know that. He thinks it's her innie. And it's like, this is violating multiple people on different levels, but it's also just like, who's the victim and who's the violator is kind of like, I think, vague.
We were talking about that earlier with friend of the pod, Emily, because you were saying, like, who is the victim and who's the violator? And I was like, well, the violator is definitely Helena, because she knew that it was her. And then, I mean, Mark doesn't know it's her. Mark is having sex with somebody. I mean, yes, it's the same body, but it's not her. Right. And so he's also kind of freaked out. I think because he doesn't trust. He's just like, well, I don't know what to believe anymore. But also because he knows he had sex with somebody who was not Helly. Right. And that freaks him out.
And you know what? I was thinking back to our conversation from earlier, from when we watched the first episode, where you asked, you were like, why is she fast forwarding and rewinding on the video of her kissing Mark R? And I realized it's like, because she knows she's going to have to play up that relationship.
And that makes sense now, yeah. But also, like, and so then Helly is also, the thing is, he doesn't tell Helly in the new episode, in this last episode, he doesn't tell her that they had sex, because she's just like, well, what happened? And he doesn't mention it. I'm like, I think he should have mentioned it. Yeah. Because now she doesn't know it was her body, and she doesn't even know that, like, they had sex.
Yeah. Oh, I think so, too. But I think it's, like, a weird, because he's also, like, been violated. Out. Yeah. So I think he will eventually. And also I think I'm like, God, you have to catch her up on the goat people.
I know.
Like, so much stuff.
Yeah, that was Helena. How weird is that? Yeah. That whole episode was her.
That was crazy. Can I say something weird, though? I think I kind of want to work on the severed floor.
I do, too. I told you that, and you thought it was weird, and I told you that.
No. I don't. Like, I think for different reasons. It's not because I don't want to be severed, though. I just want a job where it's like, wow, there's, like, a little bit of mystery and intrigue. Like, this is... Like, that feels like, I'm like, this is kind of an adventure.
So I saw a theory of what they're actually doing there. Because you know how he's like, Mark is like at 85% towards the numbers thing. And apparently, some people have a theory that, like, because what do you think Lumen is? Like, what do you think what do you think is going to happen when he gets to 100%?
I don't know. I think maybe it's like biochemical warfare or something.
I think, so somebody posted a theory, I can't remember their name, but I agree with this, that it's maybe bringing people from the dead back to life.
Cloning.
Well, I don't know if it's cloning, but just like, because they're using Miss Casey. Yeah. Gemma, who died. Yeah. And like
he says he saw her body.
Because the thing that they've said about Lumen is it's like, it'd basically be world changing. Like, whatever this is, that would be world changing.
Yeah, it would be.
So, I don't know. I think that's an interesting theory.
Yeah, so I guess it wouldn't be cloning because we can already clone. I mean, Barbara Streisand clones her dog every time it dies.
Right. It'd be like bringing people back to life.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just love this show. I think it's one of the best.
I do too.
In terms of like creativity and like the way it's told, and it's like weird. It's like darkly funny. I think it's one of the best shows that's been on TV in a long time. It's like that in Succession, maybe.
I think they're both up there, especially because just like Severance is so like, God, like I just said earlier, like when Irving like quote unquote died, his innie was killed basically, because when he tried to kill Ellie, they like cut him off. And he was doing it for them, but he's like sacrificed himself essentially.
Well, he wanted to die anyways. As soon as he was like, I can't be with Bert.
Uh-huh.
So.
And I was like, I felt like I was losing a loved one. Like, I literally was just like, these characters are, like, have grown on me. Like, I just love them.
But he comes back in, Bert's Audi and his Audi. He's calling someone suspiciously on the phone. We don't know who yet. Bert is. But, or not Bert.
Irving.
Irving is. And Bert is, like, found him, and he's like, yeah, like, my husband was really upset, like, about you pounding on my door. Like, I don't know. He was like, I was told that I got fired because I had an inappropriate relationship with someone. So obviously my husband's upset that you were pounding on my door. And he was like, why don't you come to dinner with us?
I know. And he was like, the three of you? I was just like, oh, where's this going?
It is interesting. I'm like, I can't imagine that going well, but you know.
Oh, see, I took it. I was kind of like, are they about to like have a threesome?
Oh, no. I thought he was like literally like, let's come to dinner and talk about it.
Right. But I know, but I was kind of like, so is it going to turn into a threesome? I could see that. They're weird.
I could see that.
With John Turturro and Christopher Walken.
I also think that Rickon's character gets a little bit of development in this past episode where he's writing that book, but he's writing it for the Annies. And it's the first time that I've ever seen him like as a person and not as a caricature of a character. And where he's like, where his wife, Mark's sister, is like, I don't think you should be writing this, like, you know, Lumen's Bad Company. He's like, yeah, but think about, like, how much money we could make if I wrote this and, like, the life that we could have.
Yeah.
And
he's not just being, like, an author. Like,
he's not just being, like, a ridiculous person. Yeah. Like, he's, like, being...
a writer.
And the thing is, like, I don't blame him, honestly. Like, I kind of get what he's saying. I actually don't know how they have as nice of a house as they do. Maybe it's because it's in, like, bumfuck Pennsylvania.
It's never realistic when people are writers on shows.
Yeah.
When they're, like, authors. I'm like, you don't make money.
Also, I will say this show makes Pennsylvania look so miserable.
I forgot it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It looks like Fargo, North Dakota.
It does. It's always snowy. It's always, like, gloomy.
Well, there's some people on TikTok who, like, because it's a real building, so people actually work at this building.
Oh, really?
So, like, there's a girl who was, like, dropping my boyfriend off at Lumen, and she, like, drives her boyfriend or husband or whatever to work in the mornings, and it's snowing. It literally looks like that outside, and it's, like, the actual building. It's crazy.
It looks so miserable.
It looks so miserable. Well, first of all, the atmosphere is miserable, but also the building itself is... just kind of like, it looks like a company where they sever people.
Yeah, I wonder what company that is.
I don't know. Not sure.
Interesting.
Don't know.
But yeah, excited.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for the next episode. But it's just so crazy.
Yeah.
I hope so. I know it's been renewed for a third season. Oh, and
fourth.
Sorry. No. Third.
This is the third.
This is the second. There's only been one season of Severance. We're on season 3 of The White Lotus.
Maybe that's it. I've watched Severance 3 times by
now.
No,
this is only the second season.
Okay.
Because remember they did the first season, and then it was like, it's been 3 years.
Oh,
since
yeah,
first.
okay.
So I was gonna say it's been renewed. I'm like, can you guys maybe immediately get started on that so it comes out in the next 2 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. I also I think Severance is gonna be my Succession. Like you have
rewatched it more times than I would.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the music.
I love
too. I think it's like a little bit of a weird comfort show for me.
Well, so Succession is mine. I actually think Severance might become one for me too now.
It's just like, I think it's gonna be your top Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
They also were whistling the wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald at the beginning of the last episode, and I love that song. Matthew and I listen to it all the time.
Oh,
they were whistling it at the beginning. Who knows who was whistling? I also saw stupid theories about that. People are kind of stupid.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not any of you all. Or me, probably.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I'm joking. I was just going to say really quick, they also renewed... Already, I saw a thing today where it's like White Lotus season 4.
Oh, of course. I think they have to stop after season 4.
I think so, too. I don't want too much. They should do it a winter one, though.
Oh, that would be good, like in the Alps.
Switzerland. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It would be really good.
Alaska.
I think they should do it somewhere that's not like a beach one.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say something about White Lotus really quick? We'll talk about this in the future too. Why are they always at the damn hotel restaurant? Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Go go explore the country or the state that you're in.
But I think that's a commentary on the type of people that are at this hotel.
Yeah,
they don't care about the culture or the people around.
Well, I think it's a little convenience for the show too, because they want that thing of them they're filming all the characters at this one restaurant. It's a way to like make it contained.
Yeah.
I realized I had so many more things to say about the White Lotus. My other thing, I just want to say this really quickly. I noticed they're kind of getting away from the formula of the first season of like having the manager be like a main character, because I don't think the manager is like important in this season.
Maybe.
Anyway, I was just going to say, go to somewhere else. They always go to the same restaurant. I would like in this season to see them go to different places.
Yeah, but I don't think they will.
Why? Why would you want to eat the same food every night?
I don't think it's the same food. Have you ever done like an all-inclusive resort type thing?
But at an all-inclusive resort, there's at least multiple restaurants.
Yeah.
They go to the same restaurant every single time.
And I think in the last season they went out to different restaurants and they went out and explored the area.
In the last season more, yeah, they did. Yeah. In the first season they did not. And that was Hawaii. I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
Anyway,
but so in terms of Severance, so our question of the week this week. Well, what was the question? I don't remember.
Our question was like, what's one random fact that you would want your innie to learn about you?
Okay.
Because as you know, just for those who don't know, because I think a lot of people don't actually watch Severance, I gotta say. And they do like these things with Miss Casey, the meditation person. What's her name?
The wellness
director. Where she tells you facts about your outie.
Yeah.
And
they're like vague. They'll be like, your outie likes 2 scoops of ice cream, but they have to be the same flavor.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't ask any questions. So the reason we asked is because Chris and I did this exercise the other day, but where I was like speaking for his and he was doing mine.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like his was like, for me, it was like, your outie loves dogs. But I think for mine would be, your outie lays horizontally for 22 minutes at 2 p.m. every day.
But you know what's crazy is like, so she would probably say like, I would be like, your outie loves your dog Poe. But I noticed in Severance, like she'll say, you love Radar or something.
Because the thing is, I don't think because then if you say your dog, he's going to be like, my dog. Like, I'm curious about my life. Like, I'm curious. You don't want to give specifics like that, you know?
So our question was like, what would you want your innie to know about you?
Okay. And I'm also curious, I'm like, do they ask their outies these questions? Like, how are they getting this information?
They probably do like little surveys or something at the beginning.
Your outie has a very specific fork that she likes to eat for particular meals.
That's yours?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. You know what's so funny? I was just talking with my mother-in-law about that same thing. We were talking about spoons. But, like, I have specific spoons I like to use, and so does she.
I like the certain girth and strength to
we realize we have the same silverware. Spoons, and it probably means that Matthew may have taken some of hers. So.
That also makes sense, yes. Yeah.
But, okay, that's a good one. That's a really interesting one.
Thank you. I think it's an ADD thing, but yeah.
Your outie does not like macaroni and cheese, so please don't eat macaroni and cheese.
Wow. Okay.
Because the reason I say that is because
Here's what I would say for you. Your outie tolerates gluten, but will not eat it.
Huh?
Because you don't like pasta.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I feel like I eat a lot of gluten.
Oh, I guess I forgot
that pizza.
Never mind.
Well, I was just gonna say, Matthew actually helped me with that one because he was like, he really stewed on it, and then all of a sudden, like maybe an hour or two later, he was like, he said the macaroni and cheese thing, and I was like, you know what? That's good to know. I would want my innie to know that because I don't want her eating macaroni and cheese at work. What if she eats macaroni and cheese?
Let people enjoy things. I think
what do you mean people? It's me. It's my body.
It's not.
So, okay, I just thought of something. So here's the reason, Alexa. This is why I don't want her eating macaroni and cheese, because she gets in the elevator. I get out of the elevator. I now have macaroni and cheese in my mouth.
What? Do you think she's not chewing and swallowing before she gets in the elevator?
The remnants of it. I know, like I can taste, like I would, what does macaroni and cheese even taste like? Because I think it's probably disgusting.
What does
macaroni and cheese taste like?
It tastes delicious, Molly.
It smells awful.
It doesn't really have... It smells like cheese.
Everybody says that, and you know that cheese has a smell. That drives me crazy. Matthew says that cheese doesn't have a smell. Yes, it does.
I mean, smelly cheese, sure, but regular cheese, no.
You just said my trigger word.
Like, do you remember that episode of That's So Raven where she gets the cheese wheels stuck in the vents?
Yeah.
That was like, I'm not kidding, my worst nightmare as a kid. I was like really afraid of that happening.
Yeah.
As though like I'm climbing through the vents of my high school. No, Molly, okay. I have to put my foot down. Okay, mac and cheese is it's a classic time-honored tradition of our culture.
The smell.
It literally has everything you need to survive. It has
cheese and noodles? Okay.
Yes, that's all you need. It's delicious. It's so good. And I don't think you would know that it was...
Yes, you would. Alexa, you would taste it in your mouth.
Molly, it'll taste the same as broccoli cheddar soup. It'll be the same feeling in your mouth. And also...
Have you ever made broccoli cheddar soup?
Yes, I texted you about it the other week. I'm actually really offended.
I'm sorry. I was
excited to tell you about it. Although I do think you were drunk when I texted you. But anyways, it will have the same consistency. And also, like, I'm sure your innie's going to be drinking water or something.
She better brush her damn teeth. So the reason I would want her to know is at least if she's going to do it, at least brush her teeth or chew gum.
Here, I want to do an experiment where it's like... But I don't know how we would do this without being severed.
Do not.
No.
Make me eat macaroni and cheese.
No, it's just if
you ever did that, I would never speak to you again.
Okay, relax. I was just going to say any food where it's like we eat it and then like an hour later you're supposed to be like, oh, like based on the textures and tastes in my mouth right now, can I tell what I've eaten? But I don't know how I would do that because it's like...
Oh, you actually wanted to try that?
Yeah. I was like...
Literally, how would we do that?
I don't know, but like do you... Like what's a food that you eat that you're like an hour... Actually, this will probably be like multiple hours later. You're like, I can taste this in my mouth.
I'm sure macaroni and cheese. And I'm not being funny when I say that. I know it'd be macaroni and cheese.
But like name any other food that would do that.
Pizza does that. You know when you've had pizza.
But like hours later?
Yeah, I have a thing. So the thing to know about me too is I have an obsession with brushing my teeth. Like I brush my teeth probably 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Which it probably isn't like not normal, but like it's not abnormal. But I'm just saying, like if I even know that the taste of something is in my mouth still, like I have to brush my teeth.
Yeah, I kind of am like that too. Like, but mine's more so like I am very, very afraid of having bad breath. Like and maybe I do sometimes.
No,
I'm based on the look on your face.
No, I knew that's what it was going to look like.
I'm going to go brush my teeth right now.
Laughing.
I'm actually going to rip my tongue out right now.
It's not what I swear it's not. I started giggling in my head because I was thinking about something else, and then I started actually smiling, which I hate, because I thought you would think that that's what I was thinking, so it's not that. Okay, I was just laughing at you saying that.
Egg, chicken or the egg, huh?
So...
And apparently my breath smells like both.
If it smelled like egg, I would tell you, because I freaked out because Matthew ate like a poached egg yesterday. And it was like a fight that lasted for like 3 hours because he was like, Molly, it doesn't have a smell. And I was like, it does. I can smell it in this house right now.
Poached eggs do have a smell, but I love poached eggs.
Why? Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I'll stop being rude now.
Yeah,
okay, first of all, you're defending me, by the way. Like, I'm talking about my innie. I'm not even talking about you. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about myself. And you're getting so defensive and mad. It's me that I'm like, telling don't eat macaroni and cheese. I'm not telling you not to.
But that's the whole question about Severance. Is it you or are you a separate person?
But it's not you. But it's not Alexa.
But I think so I think it is separate people, and let the innies eat mac and cheese.
But it's not you. Why do you care? I'm saying it's me. It's like it's not me.
Because I care for basic human rights, and eating mac and cheese is a human right.
I'm only telling one person, and it's because it's me.
But it's not you.
It's my body. It's why the whole sex conversation just happened.
But it's not you.
So you're saying Helly shouldn't be mad about Helena having sex in her body? It's her body. Same thing. Yes, I got you. Frozen, you can't defend yourself.
I don't know. Mac and cheese is the same.
Mac and cheese is the same as if like somebody had sex.
Okay. I will say there have been, like, sexual experiences when eating mac and cheese. I know you will disagree.
Wait, hard disagree.
Yeah, you're like,
never mind.
But I think that's, like, what brings up an interesting point of Severance. Yeah, but
what I'm saying is
who is what and what is who and who are we?
That's a good question.
And we are all together.
Right, which is why I'm saying I don't want her to eat macaroni and cheese, because it is my body still. And it's my mouth.
Your body, your choice. But her body,
my
her
body,
choice.
my choice.
But she also gets a choice.
But wouldn't it be? I'm saying she can eat anything else. I'm just saying,
Molly
please
G.
don't eat pasta.
Molly G gets a choice. I don't even think they're eating pasta.
Malina.
But anyways.
No, I have more to say. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm joking.
But anyways, I think that's all we have for you guys today. If you made it this far, thank you. And we love you.
Yeah. Please have made it this far.
We have a big announcement coming next week about relating to the Oscars, sort of. We're very excited about it, so stay tuned. As always, follow us on Instagram at Poppin In Podcast, where we will also be having some stuff about that announcement that you can participate in. And rate, review, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Everything helps.
Word of mouth helps.
Yeah, we've been at this almost a year, and we love doing it, and we want to keep doing it. So please keep listening.
Should we do like a SNL 50, but it's Poppin In 1?
And we have no celebrities. It's literally just
it's us and our friends.
Our friends who have been on, who we love. We loved having on the pod.
And we're so thankful for you.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? Our friendships mean as much to me as, it means more to me than having celebrities.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're Pedro Pascal, then please, I'd rather have Pedro
Unless
Pascal.
you're Timothy Chalamet, all in my life right now. If he wants to come on. Anyways. No, I won't. Anyways. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.